Chapter 200. He originally thought that this was already enough to make him angry, and nothing else could surpass this matter. He didn't expect that he had underestimated his granddaughter's ability to cause trouble. After leaving home and coming back, she was actually found to be pregnant. A 14-year-old little girl was actually pregnant. This wasn't the most infuriating thing. The most infuriating thing was that this girl actually said that she didn't know who the child's father was. When he asked her what happened, she couldn't say anything at all. Feng Wuliu could only think that this good-for-nothing granddaughter of his had fallen into someone else's trap. After all, no matter how good-for-nothing Feng Wu was, he didn't believe that she would have the guts to have an affair with a man before they were even married. Although Feng Wu was also a victim in this matter, he thought that the reason why things ended up like this was because this girl was too willful and ran away from home, giving an outsider the opportunity to take advantage of her. Every time he thought of this, he was furious. Say, how did their Feng family give birth to such a stupid granddaughter? What kind of sin did they commit? Don't worry, father. Feng Wu already knows her mistake. She will definitely be obedient in the future. Madame Lan held Feng Wu's small hand and quickly said, "Why couldn't this child admit her mistake to her grandfather? If she continued to be so stubborn, her grandfather might get angry again. Xiao Wu, quickly tell grandfather that you know your mistake. Quickly say it." Afraid that old Master Feng might chase Feng Wu out again in a fit of anger, Madame Lan pulled Feng Wu until she was in tears. "I was wrong." Although she didn't know what she did wrong, if admitting her mistake could make this madam stop crying, Feng Wu wouldn't refuse to admit her mistake. Master said before that crying wasn't good and would make people weak. Seeing that she wasn't crying, this madam must be very weak. Originally, Feng Wu thought that as long as she apologized, this crybaby madam would definitely stop crying. She didn't expect that she would cry even harder. Didn't she already say what she wanted? Why was she crying? What a strange person. Xiao Wu, Mommy Xiao Wu, you've suffered. You must not have been able to eat or sleep well for the past few months. You still have to take care of the child alone. It's only been a few months, and even your personality has changed. When had Feng Wu admitted her mistakes so easily in the past? Even if it was clearly her fault, she would not admit it so easily. Her stubbornness had made her suffer a lot. How much hardship did she have to go through to make her originally sharp character become like this? Poor Xiao Wu, it's all Mom's fault for not protecting you well. It's all Mom's fault. Only the sound of sobbing could be heard in the entire hall. Feng Tianqing was forced by his father's gaze to settle his wife quickly. He also knew that his wife was good at everything, but she loved to cry too much. She was often sad over small things, but his father had always admired strong and independent women. He hated it when women cried the most. Could not eat or sleep well. Feng Wu thought about it. She had eaten delicious meat buns and barbecued meat. As for sleeping, Feng Wu felt that the bed in the schoolroom was very soft. Although the bed in the guest room in Tian Yu's house was a little hard, it was still quite comfortable, so she did not suffer. "I don't suffer. I have meat buns and barbecued chicken legs to eat. The bed in the school is very soft." After thinking about it, she said, "Xiao Bai helps me take care of the baby. It's not hard." "Woo. You used to only eat the meat of the demonic bull and never other meat. Now you've started to eat meat buns and chicken. My poor child." Great, the more she cried, the louder she cried. Feng Wu did not know what to do. Why did she cry more and more? Master was right. Women who loved to cry were very troublesome, and she should never learn from her. Master was right. Enough, I'm still alive and well. What are you crying for? All of you, get out. Feng Wu, stay. The old man slammed the table and the crying stopped immediately. Feng Wu looked at the old man with admiration. He was so amazing. He only shouted once and the crybaby who claimed to be her mother stopped crying. Were all creatures like mothers crybabies? But Tian Yu did not like to cry. How strange. Feng Wu Lu's mouth twitched when he realized that Feng Wu was not afraid of him. She was even staring at him with sparkling eyes. This girl had lived outside for more than a year and had become more daring. If it was in the past, she would have cried silently with a face full of grievance. Madame Lan looked at Feng Wu reluctantly. She was very worried that the old man would continue to be angry, but she did not dare to stay. After all, the old man had accumulated power in this family for a long time and no one dared to offend him. Feng Ting looked at all this with schadenfreude. She could not wait for the old man to lose his head in anger and kill Feng Wu and her little vile spawn with one slap. Although she thought so in her heart, she showed a very concerned expression on her face. She looked like a good sister who cared about her younger sister. Feng Tianjun and his son were also very worried. The old man looked like he was still angry. Would it really be okay to leave the two of them alone like this? The father and son made a decision at the same time, which was to stand guard outside the door. If they heard any noise, they could rush in immediately to save them. After everyone left, Feng Wu Lu glared at Feng Wu angrily. He did not expect to find that this girl was really not afraid at all. If she was alone with him, her grandfather, in the past, this girl would have been scared to the point of trembling. How could she still be so calm? It seemed that going out for a period of time had its benefits. At least her timid personality had changed. Do you know your mistake? After a light cough, Feng Wu Lu spoke expressionlessly. I know. Feng Wu's eyes sparkled as she obediently replied. This person was really amazing. She heard her brother say that this person was her grandfather. In the future, she must become strong and become like her grandfather. One shout and no one would dare to cry. There seems to be something wrong here. You and that boy from the Chiu family have fate. Don't think about him anymore. If you meet him in the future, find a good family. Who is that boy from the Chiu family? She blinked her big eyes. Who else could it be? Pretending to be confused at this time, are you still thinking about Chiu Ruobai? He thought that she had really let go, but he did not expect that she still could not let go of Chiu Ruobai. I'm not thinking about him. She did not know him. Forget it, I get angry when I see you. Leave the child here first. Go out and talk to your father. Feng Wu Lu waved his hand to drive her away. He was really not used to Feng Wu's expressionless face. Oh. Feng Wu nodded and left Xiao Bai and Feng Yi in the hall. Humph. Did she think that he did not know that the foolish father and son had been standing guard at the door? Who did they think he was that he could really kill his granddaughter? Seeing that Feng Wu had left, Feng Wu Lu took little Baozi from Xiao Bai's hands and looked at him carefully. Feng Wu Lu was still a stranger to little Baozi. Moreover, his embrace was a little uncomfortable. Little Baozi frowned and glared at him in displeasure. Chapter 201. Feng Wu Lu glared at him. Who is this child? The vice principal, that old fellow, said that this little fellow has a great background and told me to treat him well. He even said that I can't tell anyone about this little fellow's background. F*CKU, do I even know where this little fellow came from? If I want to say something, I need to have something to say. He told me to keep it a secret, but I didn't even tell him clearly. What an unreliable old fellow. Feng Wu Lu glared at little Bun as he muttered to himself. Luckily, he set up a barrier around him when he spoke, so no one could hear his voice. Xiao Wu, you finished chatting with grandfather so quickly? He originally thought that he would have to wait for a while, but he didn't expect to see Feng Wu come out so quickly. Where's the child? Feng Tianxing didn't see the Holy Mother Beast and the child that the Holy Mother Beast was carrying, so he felt a little puzzled. With grandfather, Feng Wu replied. With grandfather. Feng Tianxing and Feng Tianxing were both shocked. No way, grandfather was such a cold person, but he was actually interested in Feng Wu's child. This was too inconceivable. The two of them weren't worried that old Master Feng wanted to do something to Feng Wu's child. After all, old Master Feng was already a peerless expert standing at the top of this world. Why would he lower himself to make a move on an infant? Old Master Feng was angry. Then why are you guys guarding here? It seems that although your grandfather didn't say it, he has already forgiven Xiao Wu. If it wasn't for that, he wouldn't want to get close to the child. Feng Tianxing was happy. On one side was his daughter, and on the other side was his father. The two of them being able to coexist peacefully was naturally a good thing for him. That's great, Xiao Wu. It seems that grandfather's anger has really subsided. Feng Juntian was also happy for his younger sister and patted her head. In this 1 year, Feng Wu had indeed suffered a lot. Now that the bitterness was over, the sky was finally clear. Feng Wu's return to the Feng family was a big deal in the Feng family. It wasn't a secret in the upper class of Lonling City. Many people didn't expect that Feng Wu would come back one day. Generally speaking, it was already very benevolent of them not to be executed or driven out of the family after doing such a shameful thing. Even if they weren't driven out of the family or executed, it was impossible for such a person to return to the family with their original identity and continue to enjoy the family's treatment. Lonling City, Chou family mansion, Chou Ruobing's room. In that case, Feng Wu is really back. The woman who spoke was dignified and beautiful. Her eyebrows were picturesque, and she was a beauty full of oriental temperament. The woman's jade-white hands were holding an expensive teacup carved from white jade. Her cherry-red lips were taking a light sip of the fragrant tea. Such a disgusting thing. Why did she come back? Grandpa Feng is really muddle-headed. Another woman sat elegantly in front of the window and trimmed the box in her hand. However, this time, she trimmed the wrong part. Sister Lon Zhou, what do we do now? I hate that woman as soon as I see her. I really don't understand why Grandpa Feng wants her to come back. She's always around my brother like a fly. Disgusting. Ever since she heard from Feng Ting that Feng Wu was coming back, Chou Ruoshui wanted to stay in the Feng family and give Feng Wu a warning. It would be best if she could complain about her in front of Grandpa Feng. However, her sister, Chou Ruobing, sent her a message saying that their good friend, Sister Lon Zhou, came to visit. She had no choice but to leave the Feng family and return to the Chou family. Sister, don't talk nonsense. If you compare her to a fly, then what does that make Brother Ruobai? Chou Ruobing glanced at her indifferently. She put down the potted plant in her hand and the scissors that her friends used to trim branches and leaves and sat beside Lon Zhou. Chou Ruoshui also realized that her comparison was inappropriate after hearing her sister's words. She patted her mouth and playfully stuck out her tongue. I'm wrong. That thing is a dirty thing. It's too flattering to call her a fly. Ruoshui, why are you so angry? It's impossible for her and Brother Ruobai to be together. You should know that even if the relationship between your two families is good, Aunt will not let Brother Ruobai marry a woman who has given birth to a child as his legal wife. Lon Zhou put down the teacup in her hand and stood elegantly. But I just hate her. I don't want to see her pestering my brother. She slapped me twice last time. That woman is disgusting and vicious. I wish she would be killed. You were slapped by her. Chou Ruobing didn't expect that her sister, who had always been dull, would hide such an important thing. She dared to slap you? Even Lon Zhou widened her eyes in surprise. Why wouldn't she dare? She is getting bolder and bolder. She only dared to take a detour when she saw me before. Now she not only dares to talk back to me but also dares to slap me. Every time she thought of the 2 slaps she received, Chou Ruoshui felt as if there was a fire burning in her heart. If so, then we really can't let her go. Chou Ruobing's eyes darkened and a touch of deep thought flashed through her eyes. Sister, you and Sister Lon Zhou must help me avenge these 2 slaps. If it weren't for the fact that she wanted to persuade her sister and Lon Zhou to help her, she wouldn't have told them that she had been slapped by Feng Wu. Being slapped by a piece of trash wasn't something to be proud of. For Chou Ruoshui, who had always cared about her reputation, it was even more unacceptable. Don't worry. It's Feng Wu's fault this time. Ruobing and I will definitely help you, Lon Zhou said softly with a loving smile on her face. That's great. Sister Lon Zhou, you're so nice. Chou Ruoshui cheered. Feng Wu still didn't know that there were 3 girls eyeing her covetously. Her life these few days was very fulfilling. In the morning, she accompanied Madame Lon to read romance novels and played with Little Bun. In the afternoon, she accompanied Madame Lan to go shopping and watch a show. Occasionally, Feng Juntian would also go along, although he was dragged to the training room by his grandfather to practice swordsmanship most of the time. Feng Tianqing was busy dealing with the Feng family's matters and usually wouldn't accompany them. Madame Lan held her daughter's hand. The mother and daughter wore similar mother-daughter outfits as they walked side by side into a private room. This was the most famous theater in Lonling City. Many madams and young couples liked to come here to watch shows. Today, the theater was filled with a new drama called Dragon Slayer. The main plot of this drama was about a young man called Ao Liang. He was obsessed with swordsmanship since he was young. He traveled all over the world and visited countless famous teachers to learn profound swordsmanship. However, when he returned home after mastering his swordsmanship, he found that the village he lived in had been burned down by a fire-breathing dragon. Everyone in the village died, including Ao Liang's parents. After that, in order to avenge the villagers, Ao Liang went to the palace and obtained the royal family's sacred sword. Then, he went to the Dragon Island where the evil dragon lived and killed the fire-breathing dragon. Chapter 202. Because Ao Liang killed the dragon and saved the people of that country, they no longer had to live under the shadow of the evil dragon. To thank Ao Liang, the king betrothed the most beautiful princess of the country to him. From then on, Ao Liang and the princess lived a happy life together. In this movie, Ao Liang was played by a very handsome Asian man. This man was called Watson, and was an actor that Madame Lan liked very much. Every time he acted in a movie, Madame Lan would definitely be there to support him. At this time, the movie was at the scene where Watson found out that the village he grew up in had been slaughtered by the dragon. His father, family, and friends were all gone. He was devastated and swore to avenge the villagers. Wah, wah. Ao Liang is so pitiful. He lost his family at such a young age. It's so tragic. Wah. Madame Lan grabbed her handkerchief and cried as she wiped her tears. Feng Wu, why is that dragon made of cloth? Actually, that was a fake dragon made of a type of magical material. The material was indeed like cloth. As long as a bit of fire magic was injected into it, it would immediately give the illusion that a dragon had appeared. It looked no different from the real thing. However, Feng Wu's eyes were sharp. She immediately saw that the dragon flying around was just a fake. Why was that person crying so pitifully to a piece of cloth and even looking for a piece of cloth to take revenge? What a strange person. Wah, burp. Madame Lan, who was crying so hard, almost swallowed her own saliva. That sword is clearly an ordinary iron sword. Why is it a holy sword? Feng Wu's expressionless face was full of confusion as she watched that person fight the dragon made of cloth for 300 rounds with the iron sword. Wah. Madame Lan bit her handkerchief. She didn't want to watch a movie with Xiao Wu anymore. How could she let people watch a good movie? Damn. Madame Lan, who wanted to watch a movie with her daughter, didn't dare to ask Feng Wu to watch a movie with her anymore. If she couldn't watch a movie with her daughter, then she'd make pastries together. Mother and daughter making pastries together. Just thinking about it made her happy. Madame Lan sent away the servants in the kitchen and brought her daughter with her. She wanted to experience the joy of cooking together with her daughter. When the finished product came out, Madame Lan immediately regretted it. What was this? It was clearly the same steps, but why was the thing made by his daughter black? Moreover, it was emitting a strange smoke. Would it really not die after eating this kind of thing? Feng Wu looked at Madame Lan with sparkling eyes, anticipating Madame Lan's taste test. Qinglian stood at the side and watched this scene. She was very worried that if her mistress really ate it, she would be poisoned to death. It's okay. Don't worry if you're just a little bit off. You just need to practice more. Although what Madame Lan wanted to say to her daughter the most was that she hoped that she would never cook again in this lifetime, when she saw her daughter's adorable expectant expression, she couldn't bring herself to say anything. In the end, the words that came out of her mouth became like this. In the end, both mother and daughter ate the biscuits made by Madame Lan. The biscuits made by Feng Wu had already been cleared away by the kitchen maids as dangerous items. Da da da. Toothless' little mouth was wide open as he used the rocking drum as a weapon. His little arms were strong as he used the rocking drum to hit the bed. He was having a great time playing alone. Young master, come drink some milk. This is the milk of a level 5 magical beast. It's very delicious. A maidservant ignored Little White, who was standing by the bed, and walked in with a bottle of magical beast milk, smiling amiably. The originally harmless Holy Mother Beast Little White suddenly looked at the little maidservant who had just walked in with a warning expression. It was warning this little maidservant not to come any closer. Otherwise, it wouldn't be polite. Everyone knew that Holy Mother Beasts were very protective of their young. Once they saw you as an enemy, they wouldn't be polite. You're called Little White, right? Miss Fengwu asked me to bring this magical beast milk. Hurry and feed it to the young master. Fortunately, the maidservant didn't try to get close to Feng Yi. Instead, she looked at Little White and said innocently, "Smack." The little maidservant didn't expect that not only would Little White not accept it, it would even wave its paw, and the entire milk bottle fell to the ground. "How can you do this?" The little maidservant was very angry, but she couldn't reason with a magical beast. She secretly cursed her bad luck and glared at Little White, then picked up the milk bottle and walked out. Once the little maidservant left the room, she walked to a small corner that didn't attract too much attention. "How is it? Did that little bastard drink it?" A woman who was also wearing a maidservant's uniform saw the little maidservant come over and asked hurriedly. The little maidservant shook her head. "Big Sister Ming Er, it can't be done. That Holy Mother Beast has been watching. She didn't let that little bastard drink the magical beast milk I sent." "Trash. You can't even do such a small thing. I really don't know what the young miss saved you for." Ming Er pointed at the little maidservant's nose and scolded her. The little maidservant was scolded until she didn't dare to raise her head. She was very disdainful of Ming Er in her heart. "If you have the ability, you can do it yourself. Why rely on me?" After scolding a few more times, Ming Er finally flung her handkerchief and went back to report to her master. "I'm sorry, young miss. That girl failed." Ming Er lowered her head and said respectfully, "That child is a stain on our Feng family. I originally wanted to let him disappear without a trace to save our Feng family's face. I didn't expect. Ming Er, you disappoint me too much." Feng Ting coldly looked at Ming Er, who was respectfully standing to the side. Her eyes flashed with a light that others couldn't understand. "Young miss, please forgive me. Ming Er definitely won't fail again next time." Ming Er knelt down in fear. "Forget it, get up. Now that I think about it, my idea of getting rid of that child was too immature. I'll drop this matter here. But young miss, letting that little bastard go like this is letting that trash Fengwu off too easily." Ming Er said unwillingly. "Don't worry, I won't let her off. I am the Feng family's young miss. I definitely won't let that trash replace my position in Big Brother Juentian's heart." Feng Ting knew that her mentality had been a bit unstable recently. When she saw Feng Juntian treat Fengwu with a pampering expression, the string of reason in her heart snapped. In this family, her grandfather treated her coldly and her father didn't dote on her. Only Feng Juntian, this big brother, was very good to her. Because of Feng Juntian, she got to know many noble ladies and heirs that she couldn't get to know with her status. In order to gain Feng Juntian's favor, she put in a lot of effort and used all kinds of methods to let Feng Juntian see her tenacious and unyielding side. She knew that Feng Juntian admired the same kind of woman as her grandfather, a strong woman. If it wasn't for her father's deep love for Madame Lan, with Madame Lan's personality, she definitely wouldn't have been able to enter her grandfather's eyes. Chapter 203. She knew that it was impossible for her to curry favor with the three heads of the family. No matter how hard she tried, the three of them never doted on or ignored her. She was crazily jealous of Fengwu. Just because she was reincarnated into Madame Lan's daughter, she could gain everyone's attention without putting in any effort. Originally, Feng Juntian and Fengwu's relationship had always been bad. She even secretly mocked Feng Wu. But now, Feng Juntian, whom she had tried so hard to win over for so long, had sided with Feng Wu just like that. Feng Juntian was her only hope in the Feng family in the future. She didn't want anyone to share Feng Juntian's love with her. Seeing Feng Juntian dote on Feng Wu more and more, she felt threatened. She had to get rid of Feng Wu and make the Feng family completely give up on her. Originally, she wanted to kill Feng Wu's son just to make Feng Wu suffer and vent the resentment in her heart. But now that she thought about it, she was too irrational at the time. Wouldn't killing Feng Wu's son be helping Feng Wu? Without this son, there wouldn't be a ready-made stain. As long as that little bastard was around, it would undoubtedly remind everyone that Feng Wu was a little slut who gave birth to a child out of wedlock. After thinking it through, Feng Ting's heart calmed down. She wasn't in a hurry. She wasn't the only one who wanted Feng Wu to disappear. With her understanding of Qiu Ruoxue, it wouldn't be long before Qiu Ruoxue made a move against Feng Wu. It was just that she didn't know how she would deal with Feng Wu. If necessary, she might be able to add fuel to the fire from behind. Just as Feng Ting thought, Qiu Ruoxue and Qiu Ruobing had already thought of a vicious plan against Feng Wu. And this plan would be carried out in the next few days. On this day, Feng Wu was playing with little Bun in the garden when the maid suddenly brought over a young girl who was about the same age as Feng Wu. "Second Miss Yi Lin is here." The maid stood aside and said respectfully, "Xiao Wu, why didn't you come and look for me when you came back? You don't know how bored I was when you weren't around. I didn't even have someone to talk to. You can leave first. I have something to say to your young miss." Yi Lin bluntly dismissed these maids. These maids all knew that Miss Yi Lin and second Miss Feng Wu were best friends. Naturally, they didn't dare to disobey her. After the maids left, the girl named Yi Lin intimately wanted to hold Feng Wu's hand. Unexpectedly, Feng Wu, who had always been close to her, took 2 steps back and avoided her hand. Yi Lin was astonished. What was going on with Feng Wu, this idiot? Did she discover something? But that was impossible. Feng Wu was so stupid. What could she have discovered? "Who are you?" Feng Wu hugged little Baozi and took 2 steps back. She pursed her lips and stared unblinkingly at this unknown girl in front of her. "What's wrong with you, Xiao Wu?" "I'm your cousin Yi Lin. I'm your eldest aunt's daughter. How could you forget me?" "No way. Amnesia." She hadn't heard her aunt mention Feng Wu's amnesia. Could it be that she was angry? Was it because of her idea that caused her to have a vile spawn? Was that why she was pretending not to know her? "Xiao Wu, are you still angry with your cousin?" "Your cousin did it for your own good. That's why I suggested you go to the dense fog forest to search for the legendary marrow cleansing fruit. I didn't think that something like that would happen to you in the dense fog forest. Your cousin really didn't do it on purpose. Please don't be angry with your cousin. If possible, I'd rather the one who got into trouble was me." Yi Lin's eyes reddened as she spoke. She used the handkerchief she always carried to wipe her tears. She thought that Feng Wu would immediately comfort her like before. After all, she was Feng Wu's only friend since young. However, she was destined to miscalculate this time. Even in her dreams, she would never have thought that the real Feng Wu had already died when she gave birth to the child. The one living in this body was just a soul from another world. The one who treated her as a friend or sister was the real Feng Wu. The current Feng Wu would not easily trust a girl who made her feel bad. Perhaps it was because the heavens doted on the naive. Feng Wu had an extraordinary sense of value since she was young. She could tell who was sincere to her and who wasn't. Take Feng Juntian for example. When Feng Wu first met him, she could feel his kindness and accepted his existence as an older brother. As for Feng Ting, although she kept saying that she was Feng Wu's older sister, this older sister did not like her. In fact, she hated her. This was all that Feng Wu could sense from Feng Ting. Because of this, Feng Wu had never called Feng Ting older sister. Fortunately, the original Feng Wu had never bothered with Feng Ting in the past, so no one suspected anything. Now, Feng Wu felt that this girl's kindness was all fake. She could feel that this girl did not like her as much as Feng Ting. Unable to feel the kindness from this person who claimed to be her older cousin, Feng Wu naturally did not believe her words. Although the Feng Wu girl was not a smart girl, the instinct of a small animal to seek luck and avoid disaster existed. Lin cried for a full 5 minutes. When she realized that Feng Wu, who used to be so nice, was actually standing in the distance with a child in her arms without any intention of coming over to comfort her, Lin almost did not know how to continue. No matter how many tricks she had up her sleeves, it was useless if no one was there to support her. What's going on? I saw Lin crying from afar. Aren't you two sisters usually as close as the same person? What's going on today? Madame Lan noticed from afar that the atmosphere between this pair of cousins was not right, so she wanted to come over to see what was going on. When she got closer, the atmosphere between the two sisters became even stranger. One only cared about crying, while the other stood far away like a block of wood. There was no sign of their usual closeness. This made Madame Lan very puzzled. And finally, someone came over. Lin breathed a sigh of relief. If there was no way out, she would not know how to end the situation. Why did this Feng Wu become so difficult to deal with after going out? Could it be that she was too traumatized? All right, Lin, stop crying. Tell me what's going on. She walked over to Lin and personally wiped her tears. It's nothing. I'm just blaming myself. When Xiao Wu was in trouble, I wasn't by her side. After the incident, I couldn't help her much either. I'm sad. Of course, Lin could not tell the truth. No one knew the truth about Feng Wu's accident except for her and Feng Wu herself. If she told the truth and her grandfather's family found out that she was involved in Feng Wu's pregnancy, Feng Wu didn't know what her grandfather and uncle's family would do to her if they found out. Her father was only the head of a small family. She could not lose her grandfather's love and her uncle's love. Chapter 204. Madame Lan didn't know what her niece was thinking. She was quite touched to hear her concern for Feng Wu. You're so considerate. I'm very pleased to know that you care so much about Xiao Wu. Her tears fell as she spoke. Madame Lan was easily moved by small things, and now she was touched by Lin's sisterly love. "And don't cry. It's all my fault for making you sad," Lin said softly. Madame Lan wiped her tears. "It's not your fault, Lin. I'm just too touched to see your sisterly love." Lin comforted Madame Lan a little more, and the two of them almost hugged each other and cried. Feng Wu, on the other hand, seemed to have been forgotten by the two of them. "By the way, Lin, why are you looking for Xiao Wu?" Madame Lan finally stopped crying, probably because she had cried enough. "It's like this. It's Women's Day in 3 days. I want to go with Xiao Wu to the river to release lanterns. Is that okay?" Lin didn't expect to be delayed for such a long time. If it weren't for the fact that Madame Lan was the wife of the head of the Feng clan and her aunt, she would have left long ago. She didn't have the time to be sad with her. She really didn't understand why her uncle had married such a crybaby. How could she teach her a lesson if she cried every day? Madame Lan didn't know that her niece despised her so much. Instead, she felt that Lin was a good person. She had almost forgotten about Women's Day, but Lin still came to invite Xiao Wu out. As expected, they were blood-related cousins. After agreeing to let Feng Wu and Lin go out to release lanterns together, Feng Wu was sold out by her mother just like that. Speaking of Women's Day, it was a festival unique to the ancient Eastern countries. Every year, on this day, whether it was the royal family, noble ladies, or commoners, they would all let their unmarried girls release lanterns at the women's river. It was said that as long as they wrote down their birthday and wishes on paper and put them in the lanterns, their wishes would come true. Regardless of whether the Daughters' River was really that efficacious or not, there would definitely be countless unmarried girls who would go to the Daughters' River to light their lanterns on this day. Daughters' Day was a big festival in the ancient Eastern country. Grandfather Feng had personally ordered the two young ladies to go to the Daughters' River. It didn't matter if they lit up the lanterns or not. On such a lively day, the two young ladies naturally had to go out and have some fun. Of course, Grandfather Feng wouldn't let the two young ladies go to the riverside to light the lanterns by themselves. He still let Feng Juntian accompany them. As for the little bun, Feng Yi, he was carried away by Madame Lan. Although this child's background wasn't too glorious, he was adorable and very good at pleasing people. In less than an hour he made Madame Lan, who originally had a grudge against him, accept Feng Yi. Among the remaining beasts of the Feng family, the three siblings of the Feng family came to the area that was specially circled for the children of aristocratic families and aristocratic families. Although every household could light up their lanterns by the riverside, there was still a difference between aristocrats and commoners. Aristocrats had their own pride and naturally wouldn't squeeze together with commoners to light up their lanterns. In order to let the children of aristocrats have a place where they wouldn't be disturbed, the imperial family specially circled an area and built a garden and a bamboo house here. This allowed these young ladies to admire the flowers and light up their favorite lanterns by the riverside. The bamboo house was very big and was divided into 3 levels. The first level was for the daughters of some ordinary small aristocratic families. The second level was for the daughters of aristocratic families and some of the daughters of aristocratic families. Only the princesses of the imperial family or guests who were personally invited by the princesses could go up to the 3rd level. This small bamboo house was also divided into levels. No one dared to barge in here. Feng Wu and Feng Ting were naturally brought to the 2nd level. There were already some noble ladies sitting on the 2nd level. When these ladies saw Feng Wu, they began to whisper softly. Some of the bolder ones even pointed at her. Because Feng Juntian was a man, it wasn't convenient for him to enter the bamboo house where the female guests were resting, so he didn't come with them. This allowed these women to act without any scruples. All the noble ladies here knew that Feng Wu was impulsive and brainless. Every time she caused trouble, she would be the one to suffer. If she dared to cause trouble here, then so be it. The Empress had come early today. If she really dared to cause trouble, no matter how powerful the Feng family was, the Empress would still dare to punish her. These noble ladies all had very noble statuses. They didn't really hate Feng Wu that much, but they couldn't bear to see her unpresentable appearance. She was the dignified Feng family's daughter of the first wife. So what if she was a piece of trash? Didn't her family also place importance on her? Yet she couldn't see past it. Every time she went out, she would make her presence known. Once she heard the word trash, she would lose control. Because of her personality, who knew how many times she had been schemed against by others. Yet she didn't learn from her mistakes and fell into the same pit every time. They really didn't know how this kind of unpresentable person was born into the Feng family. Thinking that such a thing had sneaked into their class, these noble ladies naturally felt disgusted as if they had eaten a fly. It seemed that even their own style had dropped. Feng Wu's scandal had already spread throughout the upper class. These noble ladies didn't sympathize with Feng Wu at all for her ending. A piece of trash naturally should stay where she should be. People still needed to be clear about their own position. If she didn't have a big head, then she shouldn't wear such a big hat. Being a commoner was the most suitable for her. Just when everyone thought that Feng Wu had already been kicked out of the Feng family to fend for herself, they didn't think that she would appear again. Thinking that such a thing would continue to disgust them, the noble ladies felt that even this daughter's day wasn't that happy. There was another reason why these noble ladies hated Feng Wu so much that even they didn't want to admit it. It was because of jealousy. They were jealous that Feng Wu didn't have to put in any effort to have her family love her. Even if she was a piece of trash, her family didn't give up on her. Yet she didn't live up to expectations. Thinking about themselves, in order to please their parents, they often forced themselves to do things that they didn't want to do. They also spent a lot of effort to learn those tiring talents. It was really infuriating to compare oneself to others. In short, for various reasons, in this circle, no noble lady liked the original body. It would be best if she disappeared forever. Of course, there were also some noble ladies who didn't care about Feng Wu at all. They didn't even bother to look at her, let alone hate her. Feng Wu had just gone up to the 2nd floor when she felt the malice from these noble ladies. Their undisguised disgust and undisguised verbal humiliation shot towards Feng Wu like a knife. Qiu Ruoshui and her sister Qiu Ruobing sat in a corner and sneered at Feng Wu. Make a scene, make a scene. The bigger the better. Chapter 205. How does she still have the face to come? Look at her. I really don't know how an unchaste woman like her has the nerve to come out. She's just thick-skinned. She has the title of the Feng family's #1 trash, but hasn't she lived for so many years? A mere chastity is nothing to her. If I were her, I wouldn't have the face to go home. I really don't know why the Feng family would let such a shameful clansman go back. Yeah, if she was in my family, I would definitely beat that slut who ruined the family's reputation to death. The child is already born, yet she still dares to come and play with the river lanterns. I really don't know where she gets her face from. That's right. If I were her, I'd rather die. I wouldn't live to be a disgrace. The noble ladies who were spouting such vicious words were still elegant and noble. They didn't need to deliberately show it. The noble upbringing that was ingrained in their bones allowed them to maintain their elegance no matter where they were. If it was the original owner, she probably would have already rushed up like a madman and hit everyone she saw. The title of Little Evil Girl wasn't for nothing. However, the one standing here now wasn't the original owner, but a new soul from another world. Xiao Wu, you're here. Why didn't you call me? A shout suddenly came from downstairs. This voice came from Yi Lin. Yi Lin was only the daughter of a small family's head. Although she was the daughter of the first wife, she didn't have the qualifications to go to the second floor. If Feng Wu and the others didn't bring her, she wouldn't have the courage to come up. Oh, it's Yi Lin. Come up quickly. Feng Ting looked downstairs and waved for Yi Lin to come up. Yi Lin was angry. A concubine's daughter could actually go to the second floor that she couldn't go to. She once again blamed her mother. Why did she have to marry the heir of a small family like her father? With her identity as the daughter of the first wife of the Feng family, she could marry anyone she wanted. Now, she was reduced to being the wife of a small family's head. Yi Lin's mother, Madame Feng Tianjiao, was also a top figure in the past. As the eldest daughter of the Feng family, her limelight was unparalleled. Many people guessed which first-rate family she would marry into. No one would have thought that the heaven-blessed Feng Tianjiao would actually fall in love with the son of a small family and elope with him despite her family's opposition. Although she was caught after eloping for less than 2 hours, Feng Tianjiao didn't give up. She constantly went on a hunger strike to protest. In the end, she married the son of a small family as she wished, but the dowry wasn't much. After marriage, Feng Tianjiao's life wasn't as happy as she had imagined. It wasn't until she got married that she realized that life in a small family wasn't easy. Compared to her previous life, it was like heaven and earth. Unfortunately, it was too late for her to regret. There was no medicine for regret in this world. Yi Lin was Feng Tianjiao's eldest daughter. Feng Tianjiao gave birth to 2 sons and 3 daughters for that small family. It could be considered a prolific family. Because her children were good, although her life in that family couldn't be compared to the Feng family, it was still quite comfortable. No matter what, she was still the daughter of the first wife of the Feng family. That small family didn't dare to treat Feng Tianjiao badly, even if they had the guts to borrow from the heavens. Probably because she was used to being angered by everyone, after Feng Tianjiao got married, she became more and more arrogant and despotic. Even Feng Wulu and Feng Tianxing had a helpless expression when they talked about their daughter and sister. If it wasn't for that bit of blood relationship, the Feng family probably wouldn't have cared about her long ago. After getting Feng Ting's approval, Yi Lin lifted her skirt and went upstairs. As soon as she came up, she stood beside Feng Wu and Feng Ting. Her eyes looked around curiously. The surrounding young misses didn't even bother to look at her. No matter what, she was still the young miss of the Feng family. She looked like she hadn't seen the world and wasn't afraid of losing face. Yi Lin had always been a person with high standards but low abilities. She was spoiled by her good-for-nothing mother. If it wasn't for the fact that she knew how to act in front of the Feng family, she would have already been rejected by the head of the Feng family. Feng Ting hid the disdain in her eyes. Feng Wu was only worthy of associating with such a person. She knew that this Yi Lin often spoke ill of Feng Wu behind her back. The conflict between Feng Wu and her two younger sisters had Yi Lin's shadow behind it. Feng Wu only thought that Yi Lin was bullied by her two younger sisters at home and stood up for her to beat up her two cousins every time. The result was obvious. She was the bad person, but she didn't get any good words. Not only was she scolded by her family, she even offended her eldest aunt's family. She was simply a big idiot. Let's go. Let's go sit over there. Feng Ting pulled Feng Wu's hand and pulled her to an empty seat. This seat wasn't bad. She could see the scenery of the garden and Daughter River. Xiao Wu, Feng Ting, have you two heard? Among the male guests that came this time, there is an important guest. Yi Lin lowered her voice mysteriously and pretended to be mysterious as she looked around. Important guests? Could it be the three princes? Feng Ting said without much care. Every day, Daughter's Day was like a big blind date venue. There would always be many young masters from aristocratic families and people from the imperial family coming to support. Needless to say, there were a few couples that met on Daughter's Day. The three princes were frequent guests every year. Although there weren't many people who could get close to the three princes, this didn't affect the enthusiasm of the noble ladies. If she could become a prince's wife, she would be the object of envy of all the women in the country. Feng Ting didn't want to hook up with a prince to marry. First, her identity was there. The imperial family wouldn't let a concubine's daughter enter the door. Moreover, she had already found a target. Although she wanted the identity of a prince's wife, she didn't want it too much. In her heart, she was very disdainful of Yi Lin's wishful thinking. A daughter from a small family dared to dream about the position of a prince's wife. She really didn't know her own name. How could it be? This time it is a prince of the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom. Although I don't know which prince it is a prince of the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom. He is a true descendant of God. The more Yi Lin thought about it, the more excited she became. If she could get the prince's favor, why would she need to come and win over Feng Wu? A prince of the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom? Feng Ting almost cried out in surprise. No wonder there were more male guests in front of the bamboo house than in previous years. It turned out that such an important person had come. Feng Ting's heart suddenly became hot, but after thinking about it, she gave up. The prince of the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom was most likely the target of the princess and the young ladies of the aristocratic families. She probably wouldn't even have the chance to get close. Although Feng Ting's heart was higher than the sky, she still knew her own name. She didn't dare to compete with the princess. If she succeeded, then it was fine. If she failed, then she would be blacklisted by the imperial family. This investment was too risky. Chapter 206. Yi Lin didn't know what Feng Ting was thinking. She found it strange that the two of them didn't seem to know anything. In fact, Feng Wu and Feng Ting really didn't know about this. Madame Lan said, but she didn't think that the visit of the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom's prince had anything to do with the girls of the Feng family. She knew her family's situation. Feng Wu was in such a big trouble now. It was basically impossible for her to find a high-status family. And because Feng Ting was a concubine's daughter, marrying an ordinary member of the imperial family was already considered a social climb. How could she marry into an empire like the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom, which had divine bloodlines? Because of these reasons, Madame Lan didn't tell the two unmarried girls of the Feng family about the visit of the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom's prince. Yes, I also heard about it from my mother. How come you didn't hear about it? Yi Lin looked at Feng Wu and Feng Ting strangely. Impossible. Even her mother, who was the wife of a small family head, knew about it. How could these two young ladies of the Feng family not know about it? If it wasn't for the fact that she might attract the prince's attention by mingling with the noble ladies on the second floor, she wouldn't have gone to find Feng Wu. She knew Feng Wu well. In the past, Feng Wu never went up to the bamboo house on Daughter's Day. She would always leave after releasing the river lanterns. This time, She planned to drag Fengwu up by force. She didn't expect that she would go up by herself. Although she didn't know why she changed so much, it was good for her, wasn't it? She didn't want to think about it. Lin secretly made up her mind. She must seize this opportunity to win the prince's heart. By then, she would be able to stand out from these noble ladies. Let's see who would dare to look down on her. The more Lin thought about it, the more beautiful it was. She seemed to see herself wearing the crown of imperial concubine and becoming the object of envy of all the unmarried girls of the Eastern ancient kingdom. Fengwu silently ate the pastries on the table. She clearly did not care about the conversation between the two people beside her. The prince had nothing to do with her. Crunch, crunch. A fragrant and sweet biscuit was swallowed by Fengwu in a few bites. She continued to reach for a piece of cake. The ancient Eastern country's daughter cakes were also very famous. On the day of the Daughter's Day, young girls would eat some cakes. This was a tradition of the Daughter's Day. The girl cakes in the bamboo house were all meticulously made by the imperial chefs. They were fragrant, soft, and had a hint of sweetness. They were very popular among the young girls. I don't know. Mother never mentioned this. Xiao Wu, do you know? Feng Ting couldn't help but suspect that Madame Lan was afraid that she would steal Fengwu's limelight. Was that why she didn't tell her on purpose? Was she afraid that she would attract the prince's attention and live a better life than her daughter in the future? Feng Ting had never minded using the deepest malice to guess Madame Lan. She didn't believe that Madame Lan would treat her well. She didn't scold or beat her only because she wanted to maintain her virtuous reputation. Putting herself in her shoes, if her husband had children with another daughter, it would be strange if she treated them well. Fengwu didn't stop chewing. She shook her head slightly, indicating that she didn't know about this either. Even Xiao Wu doesn't know? Feng Ting didn't believe it. She suspected that Fengwu was deliberately pretending not to tell her. Fortunately, she didn't see that prince as a target, so she didn't lose anything. However, Feng Ting sneered in her heart. So what if Madame Lan didn't want her to marry well? She, Feng Ting, wouldn't be manipulated by her. Yes. Fengwu nodded. She reached out her hand and continued to attack the next piece of cake. Ting Ting. Ruoxue, you're here too. I thought you were on the third floor with Princess Ronghua. Qiu Ruoxue was wearing a light pink dress today. She swayed as she walked over. She had obviously dressed up today. The material of her dress was made of a very rare magic material. The embroidery on her dress was obviously done with a special embroidery technique. There weren't too many accessories on her head. There was only a set of gemstone headwear of the same color as the dress. Although it looked simple, it was low-key and luxurious. Lan Zhou's sister is on the third floor with the princess. This year, 5 princesses from the royal family are up there. Even the empress is here. My sister is afraid that I'll say something wrong, so she won't let me go up. Qiu Ruoxue rolled her eyes and said playfully. Princess Ronghua was the third daughter of the current Heavenly Kingdom's king. She was ranked third among the princesses. Although she wasn't the eldest princess, she was the empress's daughter. Her status was very high. Qiu Ruoxue's sister, Qiu Ruobing, had always been on good terms with Princess Ronghua. Among the young girls of the ancient Eastern country, there were 3 recognized as the most outstanding women. The first was Princess Ronghua, the third princess of the ancient Eastern country. The second was Lan Zhou, the first daughter of the Lan family. The third was Qiu Ruobing of the Qiu family. Each of these 3 women had a peerless beauty that could cause the downfall of a country. There were simply too many pursuers to count. Because the status of the 3 women was very high, the empress specially prepared for Lan Zhou and Qiu Ruobing to go up to the 3rd floor. In the past, every year on Daughter's Day, Qiu Ruobing would take her sister Qiu Ruoxue up to the 3rd floor to show her face among the empress and the princesses. But this year was different. Today, Princess Ronghua had found her sweetheart, and she had the intention of marrying no one but him. Qiu Ruobing had always been a smart woman. She knew that Qiu Ruoxue had always been unrestrained and heartless. Usually, it was okay, but now it was the sensitive period when Princess Ronghua wanted to capture the heart of that person. If Qiu Ruoshui said something that shouldn't be said, then her relationship with Princess Ronghua would definitely be affected. I see. Ruoshui, come and sit down. Don't stand there. Feng Ting took Qiu Ruoshui's hand and let her sit next to her. Miss Ruoshui, you are so beautiful today. You deserve to be the first daughter of the Qiu family. Yi Lin came up with a flattering face and flattered. Yi Lin had always been jealous of the good relationship between Feng Ting and Qiu Ruoshui. How could a mere daughter of a concubine know such a high-status friend? It was simply unfair. Because of the resentment in her heart, every time she had a chance to get close to Qiu Ruoshui and her sister, Yi Lin would never let go of any opportunity to flatter them. I am beautiful every day. You don't have to tell me that. Qiu Ruoshui glanced at her impolitely. She looked down on Yi Lin, who wanted to flatter noble girls all day long. Only Feng Wu, who was not presentable, would treat such a person as a friend. I said something wrong. I said something wrong. Miss Ruoshui, you are so beautiful every day. After getting snubbed, Yi Lin didn't insist on flattering him. She sat quietly at the side and didn't say anything. Chapter 207. Xiao Wu, don't just eat desserts. Drink some tea. This is crouching dragon flower tea. Only the palace has it. It's not easy for us to drink it normally. Qiu Ruoshui and Feng Ting sat on the side and chatted, ignoring her. Yi Lin could only focus her attention on Feng Wu. This crouching dragon flower was a special flower on a certain mountain in the ancient eastern country. This flower's fragrance could spread for hundreds of miles. If a woman drank it often, she would not age and her skin would always be tender and lustrous like a young girl. Later on, someone made crouching dragon flower into tea and it became a tribute for the royal family. Other than a few large aristocratic families who could obtain some through special channels, it could be said that it was almost impossible for others to obtain it. Every year on Daughter's Day, the royal family would provide crouching dragon flower tea to the female guests in the bamboo house. This was also the only chance that the noble ladies of small aristocratic families had to drink crouching dragon flower tea every year. As Yi Lin spoke, she had already poured a cup for herself and drank a big mouthful with a face of enjoyment. Feng Wu saw that the crouching dragon flower tea was bright red in color and had a fresh fragrance. She also poured a cup for herself. After drinking it, Feng Wu's eyes lit up. It was delicious. After drinking a few more mouthfuls, Feng Wu then started to eat the daughter cakes and shortbread. Feng Wu, who was busy eating, did not notice that Qiu Ruoshui, who had ignored Yi Lin just now, actually gave her a look of praise. Feng Ting did notice it, but she was happy to see Feng Wu be unlucky, so she naturally did not speak up to remind her. The noble ladies on the second floor admired the flowers and the scenery as they drank tea and chatted. Soon, it was time to release the lanterns. The sky was filled with sparkling fireworks and a dazzling firework started to bloom in the air. When the noble ladies saw this beautiful firework, they could not sit still and started to walk towards the garden in twos and threes. In front of the garden was the Daughter River. The noblewomen's river lanterns were all brought from their own homes. Each noblewoman could bring a maid with her. However, the maids were not allowed to enter the bamboo building. They could only wait outside the building. Feng Wu's maidservant Qing and Feng Ting's maidservant Ming naturally followed. The two girls each held a river lantern and waited quietly in the room provided for maidservants to rest under the bamboo building. Juntian, what's wrong with you today? Why are you looking at the bamboo house? Are you worried about Feng Ting? Qiu Ruobai had long noticed that something was wrong with her good friend. From time to time, she would look at the bamboo building, so she guessed. Xiao Wu is also participating in the bamboo house's gathering this time. I'm a little worried that she will be bullied. Feng Juntian didn't hide anything and told his friend about his worries. Vice Captain, why are you worried about that bad woman? Last time she hit Ruoshui. Who can bully her when she's so fierce? Ning Fei said indifferently. That's right. That woman is so bad. Vice Captain, you should be more concerned about Feng Wu. How can she be qualified to be your sister? Lu Zong looked in the direction of the bamboo house with disdain. Lu Zong, I treat you as a friend. If you also treat me as a friend, please don't talk about Xiao Wu like that. Feng Juntian coldly looked at the two of them. Because he had already decided to be a good brother, he naturally didn't want his good friend to say anything bad about his sister. Lu Zong and Ning Fei exchanged a look. They understood Feng Juntian and could tell that he was serious. No matter how much they hated Feng Wu, they didn't want to fall out with their good friend because of that woman. Thus, the two of them obediently shut their mouths. This was the first time Qiu Ruobai had heard about her younger sister being beaten. Her two younger sisters were the treasures of the family. Normally, they were extremely spoiled. Since they were young, not a single finger had been touched. Now, she actually heard her two good friends say that her younger sister was beaten. Moreover, the one who did it was Feng Wu, who was recognized by the entire ancient eastern country as trash. No matter how she thought about it, this matter was too fantastical. Qiu Ruobai, who had been smiling lightly, almost couldn't smile for the first time. Thinking about Feng Wu's trash strength, even if her younger sister wasn't a peerless expert, dealing with the trash was definitely not a problem. Thus, when she first heard about this matter, Qiu Ruobai's first reaction was disbelief. You said that Feng Wu hit Ruo Shui. What happened? Although she didn't think this matter was true, she still understood these two good friends. These two had always been good friends with Ruo Shui. It was impossible for them to make such a joke about Ruo Shui. Ning Fei and Lu Zong carefully glanced at Feng Juntian. This wasn't what they wanted to say. They only said it because the captain asked them. At worst, they wouldn't say anything bad about Feng Wu. Thus, the two of them said that Qiu Ruoshui's one-sided provocation was that the two girls accidentally met in the mirage and then quarreled. In the end, Feng Wu flew into a rage out of humiliation and hit Qiu Ruoshui. After hitting her, not only did she not apologize, but she also spoke ill of her. In the end, they didn't pursue the matter and let Feng Wu go because of the vice-captain. Qiu Ruobai pressed her throbbing forehead. Did these two people think that she didn't know their personalities? She was afraid that she would only listen to half of what they said. Jean Li, you tell us. Compared to those two unreliable fellows, she still believed in the steady Jean Li more. When we were doing a mission in the Mirage, we met Feng Wu and her friends. Ruo Shui went up to provoke them and said a lot of unpleasant things. We didn't know when Feng Wu's strength increased greatly, but when we let our guard down, she slapped Ruo Shui twice. Later, Yu Zong and Ning Fei asked Feng Wu to apologize, but Feng Wu refused no matter what. The two of them then fought with Feng Wu's friends. Unexpectedly, one of Feng Wu's friends used an image stone to record the scene. In order to not let this matter escalate, I took Ruo Shui and the two of them and left first. Jean Li's narration of the matter was much more objective. He didn't add too many personal opinions into it. Overall, it was quite pertinent. It turns out that after Ruo Shui came back that day, she kept pestering me and telling me to ignore Feng Wu. She even scolded Feng Wu in front of me and asked her what happened. She only said that Feng Wu hadn't given up on me and wanted to use her and Feng Ting to get close to me. Now that I think about it, Ruo Shui felt that she had lost face after being slapped by Feng Wu and didn't dare to tell me the truth. That's why she said that Feng Wu hadn't given up on me and wanted me to help her teach Feng Wu a lesson. Qiu Ruobai rubbed her chin and turned to look at Feng Juntian. Juntian, my sister can't be beaten for nothing. Feng Juntian's expression was somewhat unsightly. He knew that the Qiu family was very protective of their own. If he didn't give an explanation, he was afraid that Qiu Ruobai would personally seek justice for her sister. At that time, Feng Wu definitely wouldn't be able to resist. As a good friend of Qiu Ruobai who grew up together, he deeply understood how ruthless this man's heart was hidden under his handsome appearance. Chapter 208. I will make her apologize to Ruo Shui. No matter what, she shouldn't have hit her. Feng Juntian made a serious promise. After all, Feng Wu was in the wrong. No matter what, it was unreasonable to hit her first. Fortunately, With the relationship between the two families, an apology should be able to solve the problem. Feng Wu didn't know that her brother had discussed with Qiu Ruobai to make her apologize behind her back. She was now walking out of the bamboo house with Feng Ting and the others. Outside the bamboo house, there was already a lot of noise and it was very lively. Qiu Ruoshui didn't return to her sister's side. Instead, she pulled Feng Ting to Feng Wu's side. Occasionally, she would smile maliciously, which made people feel frightened. The excitement in Qiu Ruoshui's eyes was almost unconcealable. The smile on her face grew bigger and bigger. She couldn't wait to see Feng Wu's unlucky appearance. In the garden, many male guests began to look for noble ladies they were interested in. It was rare to have such an opportunity. It would be good if they could make a good match. Not long after, several couples had successfully struck up a conversation. Although Feng Ting was a concubine's daughter, she was beautiful and charming. Many male guests were inquiring about her identity. Although the status of a concubine's daughter couldn't compare to that of a legitimate daughter, her talent was much better than that of a legitimate daughter. Even her reputation was much better than that of Feng Wu. Many men still wanted to get in touch with Feng Ting. It would be good if they could succeed. Unfortunately, Feng Ting's heart belonged to someone else. She maintained a polite smile to these male guests who came forward to strike up a conversation. She always tactfully rejected others' advances with a gentle and generous attitude. Even those who were rejected couldn't resent her. There were also many male guests who came forward to strike up a conversation with Qiu Ruoshui. As the second legitimate daughter of the Qiu family, Qiu Ruoshui's status was much higher than Feng Ting's. The men who came to strike up a conversation with her were naturally not on the same level as those who struck up a conversation with Feng Ting. Feng Ting was envious in her heart, but the expression on her face was indifferent. No one could tell what she was thinking. Yi Lin, on the other hand, was very unconvinced when she saw so many men surrounding the two of them. Why? No matter what, she was the young miss of the Feng family. Why didn't a single man come to strike up a conversation with her? What kind of taste did these men have? Xiao Wu. Feng Wu was watching the fireworks when she suddenly heard her brother's voice behind her. She turned around happily. Sure enough, she saw her elder brother looking at her with a smile. Standing beside her elder brother were those annoying people who helped the bad guys. The bad guy was Qiu Ruoshui, of course. Although Feng Wu didn't care about Qiu Ruoshui following her, she still couldn't like someone who scolded Little Bun. When Ning Fei and Lu Zong saw Feng Wu, they also snorted disdainfully. Since Feng Juntian was present, they didn't say anything unpleasant. Big brother. Feng Wu ran into Feng Juntian's embrace, her little head happily rubbing against her big brother's clothes. Ning Fei and Lu Zong instantly opened their mouths wide, as if they couldn't believe that the person in front of them was the Feng Wu they used to know. Who didn't know that the person Feng Wu hated the most was her brother, Feng Juntian. Normally, the two siblings wouldn't even talk to each other. But now, she suddenly ran over and called him Big Brother so intimately. This wasn't right, it was very wrong. Could it be that she wanted to take revenge and break up their friendship from the inside? The more they looked at it, the more it seemed like this was the case. This woman was still as vicious as before. She was really too hateful. Qiu Ruobai looked at the affectionate siblings and thoughtfully rubbed her chin. She couldn't understand what Feng Wu wanted to do. Xiao Wu, were you obedient just now? No one bullied you, right? Feng Juntian was worried that Feng Wu would be bullied. He was also worried that Feng Wu would be impulsive and start fighting with others because of a few words. When they returned home, he was afraid that his grandfather would be angry again. I was obedient. No one bullied me. Feng Wu obediently allowed her brother to pat her head as she spoke seriously. That's good. Feng Juntian smiled dotingly and rubbed his sister's head twice. Big brother. Feng Ting looked at the affectionate scene between the siblings and felt uncomfortable. Did Feng Juntian only like Feng Wu and no longer care about her, this concubine-born sister? She didn't want to be ignored and she didn't want Feng Juntian to only dote on Feng Wu as his little sister. Thus, she spoke up, her voice somewhat aggrieved. Ting ting. Feng Juntian turned his gaze to Feng Ting and responded. Feng Ting felt even more uncomfortable in her heart. Before Feng Wu returned, she was her big brother's only little sister. But now, with the addition of Feng Wu, she, who had been close to Feng Juntian for more than 10 years, was like an extra button. As expected, if they weren't born from the same mother, then there was a layer separating them. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't make up for it. Vice Captain, don't forget. You promised the captain that you would make this bad. Feng Wu apologize. Ning Fei originally wanted to call her a bad woman out of habit. Fortunately, he reacted quickly and turned around. Ning Fei thought with lingering fear. That's right, that's right. Vice Captain, quickly make Feng Wu apologize. She should apologize for hitting Ruo Shui. Lu Zong chimed in loudly from the side. Feng Juntian coldly glared at the two of them. He turned Feng Wu around and made her face Chiu Ruo Shui. Xiao Wu, Big Brother heard that you hit Ruo Shui. It's wrong to hit people. You should apologize to Ruo Shui. Do you understand? Feng Juntian didn't use his identity as her big brother to force Feng Wu to apologize. He wanted to try and reason with her. He felt that Feng Wu had grown up a lot recently. Perhaps he could make her take the initiative to apologize. Feng Wu heard Feng Juntian's words and looked at Chiu Ruo Shui. She pursed her lips tightly and didn't say anything. Why did Big Brother want her to apologize to this bad person? This bad person scolded her baby and scolded her. Xiao Wu didn't like bad people. She didn't want to apologize. But if she didn't apologize, Big Brother wouldn't like her anymore. Big Brother treated her well, just like the older brothers of the little girls at the foot of the mountain. He would pamper her and buy her delicious food. She didn't want to lose her big brother and didn't want to apologize. What should she do? Feng Wu girl rarely felt so distressed. But now, she felt very helpless and didn't know what to do. Because she didn't know what to do, Feng Wu just stood there like a block of wood and didn't say anything. Xiao Wu. Feng Juntian called out a few times, but his sister didn't respond to him. Could it be that she didn't want to apologize and get angry again? Xiao Wu, you should apologize. You shouldn't have hit Ruo Shui that day. Apologize and let's make up, okay? Feng Ting gently walked to Feng Wu's side. She wanted to hold Feng Wu's hand, but Feng Wu girl hid her hand behind her back and didn't let her. Xiao Wu. Feng Ting looked at Feng Wu with hurt. She called out Feng Wu's name pitifully. Unfortunately, Feng Wu lowered her head and didn't even look at her. She just gave her a black crown. Feng Wu, you're bullying Ting Ting again. You're always like this. Isn't it because Ting Ting is better than you? You're so narrow-minded. Chiu Ruo Shui glared at Feng Wu indignantly, as if Feng Wu had done something disgraceful by not accepting Feng Ting's kindness. Chapter 209. Lu Zong and Ning Fei were naturally the same as Chiu Ruo Shui and looked at Feng Wu with displeasure. Humph. Bad woman. You only know how to bully others with your status as the Feng family's legitimate daughter. You really don't know how to repent. No wonder the captain doesn't like you. It would be strange if anyone would like a woman like you. Hurry up and apologize to Ruo Shui. This time, not only do you have to apologize to Ruo Shui, but you also have to apologize to Feng Ting. Lu Zong shouted. Feng Juntian looked at this scene with a headache. He didn't know what was going on, but things seemed to be getting more and more troublesome. He felt that Chiu Ruo Shui, Lu Zong, and Ning Fei's reactions were too much. He knew that Xiao Wu had never liked Feng Ting. He didn't force her to get along with Feng Ting. In any case, in a large family, it was almost impossible to find a legitimate daughter and a concubine's daughter who had a good relationship. Feng Juntian was very unhappy that Lu Zong wanted Feng Wu to apologize to Feng Ting. Feng Ting and Feng Wu were both members of the Feng family. Even if Feng Wu did something wrong, only the Feng family had the qualifications to make her apologize. Lu Zong and the others had overstepped their boundaries. Lu Zong, the matter between Feng Wu and Feng Ting will naturally be handled by Juntian, a member of the Feng family. The implication was that his actions had overstepped their status as friends. Lu Zong was reminded by Qiu Ruobai and also understood his mistake. He shut his mouth and no longer forced Feng Wu to apologize to Feng Ting. Ning Fei, who had originally planned to speak gently to Lu Zong, also understood when he heard the captain's words. He didn't dare to join in the commotion. Both of them were legitimate sons of large families. Even if their thoughts weren't as deep as Feng Juntian and Qiu Ruobai, they weren't idiots. Some things they didn't understand at the moment, but after being reminded, they immediately understood their mistakes. On the other hand, because Qiu Ruoshui had always been spoiled by her family, she never had the concept of overstepping her boundaries. She only knew that her good friend had been bullied by Feng Wu, this trash. If she didn't apologize, she wouldn't be able to swallow this anger. I told you to apologize. Did you hear me? Are you playing dumb? Let me tell you, there's no way. You must apologize to me and Ting today. Otherwise, we won't be finished. With her brother here and 2 friends helping her, Qiu Ruoshui had nothing to fear this time. Feng Wu still kept her head down. Even if she didn't say anything, she still wouldn't say anything. She looked like she was going to be a wooden puppet until the end. Qiu Ruobai frowned as she looked at her younger sister's unreasonable behavior. She wondered if she and her parents had spoiled her too much, spoiling her so much that she didn't know how to analyze the pros and cons. In front of the son of the first wife, she wanted a daughter of the first wife to apologize to a daughter of a concubine. If she had forced a small family, everything would have been fine. After all, the strength of the Qiu family was there. Even if that person had resentment in his heart, he wouldn't dare to disobey, let alone take revenge. It just so happened that the person she forced was the daughter of the first wife of the Feng family, who was as powerful as the Qiu family. A person who could do this kind of thing could be called brainless. It just so happened that this brainless person was her own little sister. Enough, Ruoshui. Then, he looked at Feng Wu and said, Feng Wu, as long as you apologize to my sister, the matter of you hitting her will be forgotten. In the future, no one in the Qiu family will pursue this matter. Brother. Qiu Ruoshui didn't want to comply. How could she be let off so easily with just an apology? If she didn't slap her a few times, she wouldn't be able to vent her anger. I said, that's enough. Qiu Ruobai gave her younger sister a deep look, her eyes filled with a strong sense of warning. Qiu Ruoshui knew her brother's temper. Usually, it was fine to throw a tantrum, but when her brother was angry, it was best to be honest. When her brother was angry, he wouldn't give anyone face. Qiu Ruoshui closed her mouth, feeling wronged. She didn't dare to make her brother angry again. I won't apologize. At this time, Feng Wu, who had been silent, finally spoke. She slowly raised her head. Her voice was still soft, but there was stubbornness and a touch of grievance in her voice. Xiao Wu, don't be stubborn. As long as you apologize, this matter will be over. Ruobai has already promised not to pursue this matter. Feng Juntian stared closely at Feng Wu. He did this because he didn't want Feng Wu to be hated by Feng Juntian. He also didn't want this matter to reach his grandfather. Once his grandfather knew that Feng Wu caused trouble again and even hit a daughter of the Qiu family, he would dislike Feng Wu even more. She's a bad person. She scolded Xiao Yi and me. I won't apologize to a bad person. Feng Wu turned away and no longer looked at her brother. Although Feng Wu wanted a brother, she wouldn't give up her perseverance for a brother who stood on the side of a bad person. Feng Juntian wanted to persuade her again, but at this time, there was a commotion. Many men and women looked towards the entrance of the garden. There were also small exclamations as if they had seen something incredible. Heavens! Is that the Prince of the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom? He's so good-looking. I've never seen such a good-looking person. I feel that he's even more handsome than Feng Juntian and Qiu Ruobai. As expected of a prince from the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom. He's as beautiful as the moonlight. If only I had the chance to talk to her. Dream on. Can't you see that the princesses are here? Moreover, even if the princesses aren't here, there's still Qiu Ruoshui and Lan Zhou. How could we have the chance to talk to that prince? Did you guys hear? The third princess seems to have taken a fancy to that prince and intends to have a marriage alliance with the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom. Is that true? The third princess's standards are indeed high. I've never heard of any man that could enter her eyes. Now, she's finally taken a fancy to one. What's so strange about that? That prince is so good-looking and has a noble background. I'm afraid there are many girls who have taken a fancy to him. However, who would dare to compete with the princess for a husband? It's not like they don't want to live in the ancient Eastern Kingdom anymore. The girls' discussion flooded into the ears of Feng Wu's group. Only now did they notice that tonight's distinguished guest had arrived. Separated by the crowd, they couldn't see whether the prince was as handsome as the girls described him to be. Feng Juntian didn't mention the apology again. After all, now wasn't the time. The visit of a prince from the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom was a big event. Moreover, it was said that this prince was very likely to be the next Moon Emperor. With such a noble person here, anything else could be put aside. Ting Ting, let's go take a look at that prince. I'm really curious what he looks like. With a new distraction, Qiu Ruoshui immediately forgot that she was still waiting for Feng Wu's apology. Although Qiu Ruoshui didn't have any other thoughts about this mysterious prince, she was very curious about what kind of person he was. Was he handsome? She heard that the people from the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom were all handsome men and beautiful women because of the protection of the moon. She didn't know if this was true or not. Chapter 210. Qiu Ruoshui was very curious about the prince. She wanted to go to the third floor to ask Princess Ronghua, but her sister was worried that she would make Princess Ronghua unhappy, so she didn't let her go to the third floor at all. She really didn't understand what was wrong with her sister today. In the past, she could go to the third floor with her sister, and the Empress and the Princess liked her very much. Why couldn't she do it this year? Although Qiu Ruoshui had a bad temper and did some tasks recklessly, she was not a smart girl. She couldn't understand the deep meaning of her sister's actions. The reason why Qiu Ruobing didn't let Qiu Ruoshui go to the third floor to inquire about the prince was that she was afraid that Princess Ronghua would be suspicious of her. Lan Zhou was already the future princess, but she hadn't chosen her future husband yet. Now everyone knew that Princess Ronghua was determined to get the prince. If Qiu Ruoshui went up to inquire about it at this time, maybe Princess Ronghua would think that they had some thoughts about the man she liked. People only knew that Princess Ronghua was graceful and elegant, but no one knew that she had always been narrow-minded and very suspicious. It took Qiu Ruobing a lot of effort to become friends with Princess Ronghua. She naturally knew when she could get close and when she needed to stay away to avoid suspicion. It was a pity that Qiu Ruobing didn't dare to tell Qiu Ruoshui these things. Qiu Ruoshui had never been scheming, so Qiu Ruobing didn't dare to tell her these things. Well, Xiao Wu, do you want to go together? Feng Ting nodded, then turned to ask Feng Wu, who knew that Feng Wu turned her head and ignored her. Feng Ting smiled awkwardly. Humph. You don't know how to appreciate kindness. Ting Ting, let's go. Don't pay attention to that guy. Qiu Ruoshui made a face at Feng Wu, then pulled Feng Ting and ran into the crowd. Feng Juntian saw this scene and could only smile helplessly. Although Xiao Wu had become obedient, she was still as stubborn as before. As long as she thought it was right, no one could make her bow her head. Feng Wu was very unhappy, because everyone here wanted her to apologize to the bad guy, even her favorite brother. Feng Wu felt wronged. Her master had told her that if someone said bad things about her, she should hit them back if she didn't want to listen. She was very obedient to her master. That bad person said bad things about her and the baby. She hit them back, but her brother said that she was wrong and wanted her to apologize. She didn't want to apologize. They were all bad people. Feng Wu missed her master, and she missed him more and more. Feng Wu, who was feeling aggrieved, didn't notice that the crowd was rushing towards them. It seemed that the prince was walking towards them, and the crowd was following him. Feng Wu inadvertently raised her head to look at the prince surrounded by the crowd. When she saw who it was, Her eyes immediately lit up. The Fengwu girl rushed forward like a cannonball, pushing aside the noble ladies who were blocking her way. Then, before anyone could react, she threw herself into the prince's arms. Ah! The young girl's scream rang out. Who is she? How dare she? She's too shameless. Our ancient Eastern country's face has been lost by this woman. Just wait and see. His Highness will definitely push her away. Isn't that Fengwu? Finally, someone recognized the Fengwu girl. No way. It seems to be her. Isn't she secretly in love with Qiu Ruobai of the Qiu family? Why would she throw herself into the arms of the Silver Moon ancient country's prince? Why else? She's just shameless. How infuriating. How did our ancient Eastern country produce such a shameless woman? How will His Highness look at us now? Even the other girls are losing face with her. Although there was still a smile on Princess Ronghua's beautiful face, her hands hidden in her sleeves had already clenched into fists. She really didn't expect that someone would be so bold. These noble ladies had already guessed that the ancient Eastern country and the Silver Moon ancient country had a marriage alliance. Now, there was a bold lowly servant who dared to seduce the prince in front of her. She really didn't know life from death. After the prince left, she would definitely make that woman pay the price. Princess Ronghua viciously thought in her heart. At the same time, she was still waiting for the prince to push this shameless woman away. The prince of the Silver Moon ancient kingdom also pushed away the woman in his arms, just as everyone expected. At this time, although Fengwu was no longer in his arms, her hands were still stubbornly wrapped around his waist. Her eyes were still a little red and she looked very wronged. It's over. Feng Juntian secretly cursed. He regretted that he didn't keep an eye on Fengwu. This time he caused big trouble. It was all because of her that Fengwu did this kind of thing. Qiu Ruobai secretly frowned. What was Fengwu doing? Didn't she know that this would cause trouble for the Feng family? Qiu Ruobing stood behind Princess Ronghua and looked at this scene coldly. What was going on? It was reasonable to say that that kind of medicine shouldn't take effect so soon. Although she wanted to avenge her sister, she would never choose this time. It was reasonable to say that the medicine would take effect at least half an hour later. Qiu Ruobing was puzzled. Lin walked away alone after leaving the bamboo house. She didn't want to be suspected. She didn't expect Qiu Ruoshui to be so cruel. What kind of medicine did she use? Would the Feng family be implicated? Although Lin was ambitious, she didn't want to harm the Feng family. No matter how stupid she was, she knew that the Feng family was her strongest backing. As long as the Feng family existed, no matter who she married in the future, she would not be treated coldly by her husband's family. If she had known that Fengwu would cause such a big trouble today, she wouldn't have agreed to help set up Fengwu in order to please Qiu Ruoshui. Now, not only was Fengwu unlucky, but even the Feng family would be blamed for not teaching their daughter well. Although there would be no real punishment, the reputation of the girls in the Feng family would be ruined. Not teaching their daughter well. Fengwu was not the only girl in the Feng family. She, the cousin of the Feng family, would also be unlucky. Ting was so regretful that her intestines almost turned green. Feng Ting was also regretful. She really didn't expect that Qiu Ruoshui would arrange such a vicious plan to target Fengwu. If she had known it would be like this, she would definitely stop it. How could she not understand what Lin could understand? She hated it so much. You drugged Fengwu. Why didn't you choose another time? Why did you choose to do it when the Prince of the Silver Moon ancient kingdom came to visit? This not only harmed Fengwu, but also Feng Ting. It was almost impossible for her to find a good husband in the future. This was ruining her life. She even hated Qiu Ruoshui now. If Qiu Ruoshui treated her as a friend and considered her a little, she would never choose such a vicious way to ruin Fengwu's reputation at this time. Chapter 211. Thinking that her reputation was ruined by Fengwu and that it was impossible for her to be with her sweetheart, her eyes turned red with hatred. Even though Feng Ting was smart, She almost fell to the ground in the face of such a blow. Feng Ting didn't know that Qiu Ruoshui was even more surprised than her. Qiu Ruoshui was also puzzled. The effect of the medicine couldn't take effect so quickly. She didn't want Feng Wu to embarrass herself in front of the prince. This time, not only Feng Wu, but also everyone in the Feng family would be unlucky. Qiu Ruoshui's face was as pale as a ghost. If her family knew that all of this was planned by her and her sister, she couldn't imagine what would happen to her. If this matter was found out by the royal family, then their family would be disgraced by the royal family together with the Feng family. What was the most important thing for a family? Wasn't it face? Once she made the Qiu family lose face in front of the other major families, then Grandpa would never let her go. Just thinking about her own fate made Qiu Ruoshui tremble with fear. At this time, Qiu Ruoshui didn't know that before the Qiu family could do anything to her, the person next to her already wanted to strangle her to death. While everyone was having their own thoughts, the Prince of the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom did something that shocked everyone. When he saw Feng Wu's face, he was surprised at first. Then, he gently reached out his hand and rubbed Feng Wu's dark little head. "Xiao Wu, what's wrong with you?" "Ming Shi." Feng Wu softly called this name and threw herself into the other party's arms. She buried her head in the other party's chest and didn't say anything. Yes, this visiting prince of the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom was Ming Shi. Ming Shi was the prince of the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom. After the end of the training, Ming Shi returned to the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom. At this time, his father received a call for help from the Ancient Kingdom of the East. Ming Shi came to the royal family of the Ancient Kingdom of the East as a guest. He never thought that he would meet Feng Wu in the ancient Oriental country, let alone in such an environment. It was just that Feng Wu didn't look good right now. Her eyes were red as if she had been wronged. Ming Shi still had a certain understanding of the Feng Wu girl. Don't be fooled by how she looked all day long. In fact, she was very sensitive and could get hurt easily at certain times. Good girl, don't be sad. You can tell me if you've been wronged. I'll help you, okay? Ming Shi hugged the little thing in his arms and comforted her softly. Your Highness, Princess, I have some matters to discuss with my friend. Please forgive Ming Shi for leaving first. Ming Shi didn't push Feng Wu away. Instead, he turned his head and said to the Empress and several princesses of the ancient Eastern country, "No one could have imagined that things would develop like this." Prince Ming Shi meant that he knew the trash Feng Wu? What a joke. Why her? What qualifications does this trash have to know the future heir of the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom? Many of the small and medium-sized families didn't know about Feng Wu's unmarried child. This matter was spread among the children of the large families, but no one revealed it to the small and medium-sized families. Therefore, apart from a few noble ladies with extraordinary statuses, the rest of the group only thought that Feng Wu was a trash who was useless in both magic and martial arts. They didn't know anything else. Those who knew were so shocked that their jaws almost fell. This was impossible. They must have opened their eyes the wrong way. Feng Wu knew the prince of the Silver Moon Ancient Kingdom. This was even more shocking than hearing that she was suddenly accepted by the Feng clan again. Prince Ming Shi, since you have something to discuss, then go. But don't go too far. Your safety is very important. Nothing can happen to you. After all, the Empress was the Empress. Although she was also crazily shouting that it was impossible in her heart, she still looked dignified and noble. She didn't show any displeasure at Ming Shi's sudden departure. Ming Shi nodded, took Feng Wu's hand and left. But with the Empress's reminder, they shouldn't go too far. Princess Ronghua looked at the scene of the two leaving hand in hand. Her heart was filled with jealousy. Why? Why did a woman with a bad reputation dare to come and steal her husband? She couldn't compare with that woman. She was so cold to her, but so gentle to Feng Wu. Lan Zhou and Qiu Ruobing stood on the left and right of Princess Ronghua. They exchanged a look and didn't speak. The Empress patted Princess Ronghua's hand and organized the noble ladies as if nothing had happened. They were going to write down their wishes as in previous years, and then put their wishes in the river lantern. Princess Ronghua soon came to her senses after the Empress's reminder. She was a noble royal princess. She couldn't be laughed at. Thinking of this, she cheered up again. She acted like a noble lady and smiled elegantly and charmingly. She didn't mention that Prince Ming she just left her and Feng Wu. The remaining 4 princesses, except for the first princess, were not born of the same mother as Princess Ronghua. They were happy to see her make a fool of herself. Prince Ming she was so excellent. Of course, there was more than one princess who liked him. However, Princess Ronghua suppressed the other 3 princesses because she was the empress's daughter. Since Prince Ming she came to visit, Princess Ronghua had not let them get close to her. She guarded against them as if they were thieves. Regarding Ronghua's tyranny, they dared to be angry but did not dare to say anything. After all, Ronghua had a powerful mother, and she herself was Imperial Father's most favored princess. Whether it was in terms of background or love, they could not compete with her. The 3 princesses could only shut up and did not have any more ideas about Prince Mingxi. Unexpectedly, someone else took action when they didn't, and it seemed to be successful. No matter who the woman was, they would be happy as long as they could make Princess Ronghua suffer. Unlike the princesses who were gloating over Feng Juentian's misfortune, everyone on Feng Juentian's side had more complicated thoughts. Feng Juntian had even thought of capturing Feng Wu, but fortunately, he had changed his mind later on. Ming Shi and Feng Wu were unaware of all this. The 2 of them found a small corner that wasn't too conspicuous and sat together. Feng Wu's pink and tender face was expressionless. She told them how bad the bad people were, how bad her brother was, and how everyone forced her to apologize to the bad people. Seeing Feng Wu's pitiful little eyes, Ming Shi felt his heart soften. It's okay. If you don't want to apologize, then don't. It's not your fault. Feng Wu's eyes lit up when she heard this. Her whole person seemed to be in high spirits. He was really like her master. If it was her master, he definitely wouldn't make her apologize. I know. Master said that if anyone bullies me, then I have to fight back. I have to beat them until they're afraid. They won't dare to bully me anymore. Feng Wu girl said with a smile. Hearing this, Ming she suddenly felt a little displeased with Feng Juntian. What was Feng Juntian doing as an older brother? That person from the Qiu family still knew how to protect his little sister, but he forced Feng Wu to apologize to someone who insulted her. As an older brother, he was such a failure. Chapter 212. Your master is right. If someone bullies you, you don't have to be polite and fight back. If you can't beat them, you can look for Senior. Senior can help you. Ajur, Elena, and the rest will all help you. Ming Shi reached out and patted Feng Wu's little head. Feng Wu nodded her little head heavily, and her mood improved again. Ming Shi and Feng Wu didn't chat for too long. After all, there were too many people here, and they didn't know when someone would come looking for them. It really wasn't a safe place to chat, so the 2 of them didn't chat for long before they appeared in front of everyone again. When Feng Juntian saw his sister, he immediately chased after her. Xiao Wu. When Feng Wu saw that Feng Juntian didn't say a word, she would have already pounced into her brother's arms and acted coquettishly. How could Feng Juntian not see that Feng Wu was angry? However, he was really doing it for Feng Wu's sake. Did she know that if she insisted on not apologizing, the person who would come looking for trouble with Xiao Wu wouldn't be a little girl like Qiu Ruoxue? Qiu Ruoxue might very well make a move. Xiao Wu, Big Brother knows that you are angry, but Big Brother is really doing it for your own good. Feng Juntian was very helpless. He had always treated his sister like this, but it was a pity that his sister couldn't understand his painstaking efforts. Because Feng Wu had publicly thrown herself into his arms, she had already become the focus of everyone's attention. When Feng Juntian ran over at this time, people naturally moved Shiguang over from time to time, and even pricked up their ears to eavesdrop. However, why couldn't they hear anything? They even made a soundproof barrier. Was it good for them to do this? Couldn't they satisfy their curiosity a little? Perhaps you are doing it for Feng Wu's sake, but it's a pity that this is not what she needs. Ming Shi said indifferently. Although he still had an angelic smile on his face, Feng Juntian could still feel that Ming Shi didn't like him. Take a look. If you still insist on Xiao Wu apologizing after you've seen it. Ming Shi took out a stone-like object from his bosom and handed it over. Feng Juntian reached out to take it and sent his consciousness into the image stone. Everything that happened during the mission that day was recorded in this small image stone. That day, Tingyu had recorded the entire incident. Since this incident involved Feng Wu, she naturally could not allow this impression stone to be leaked. Since it was useless for them to keep it, Tingyu generously gave this stone to Feng Wu. Of course, things in the mirage couldn't be used in the outside world. Tingyu insisted that Feng Wu use her mental power to guide the contents of this image stone into the real world and record it with another real image stone. Feng Wu naturally did as she was told. This stone was useless, so she had kept it in her space ring. When she mentioned this matter when she was chatting with Ming Shi asked for this image stone. Of course, before handing it over to Feng Juntian, he had already seen the contents once. After seeing the images in the image stone, he truly felt that Feng Wu's 2 slaps were too light. She was so young and already had such vicious thoughts. She really deserved to be hit. After Feng Juntian saw all the images, his face turned ashen. He really didn't expect that Jean Li's 2 sentences would be so insulting. He originally thought that this time, it would be the same as before. When Feng Wu heard Qiu Ruoshui call her trash and perhaps said something about Qiu Ruobai, it would cause Feng Wu to lose control and hit her. He really didn't expect that the words he imagined in his mind weren't even a tenth of what was recorded in the image stone. If he had seen this earlier, he definitely wouldn't have let Feng Wu and Qiu Ruoshui apologize. It would be more appropriate to let them apologize to his Feng Wu. He didn't want Qiu Ruobai to make a move on Feng Wu, but that didn't mean that he was afraid of Qiu Ruobai. Now that he knew the truth, even if Qiu Ruobai really wanted to make a move, he definitely wouldn't let her succeed. To tell the truth, the 2 of them had been brothers for many years and their relationship had always been very good. If it wasn't to seek justice for his sister, he wouldn't be willing to go against Feng Wu. Unfortunately, things had already reached this point. Regardless of whether this would affect their brotherly relationship or not, he wouldn't let Feng Wu and Qiu Ruoshui apologize again. Xiao Wu, Big Brother was wrong. Big Brother won't let you apologize to Qiu Ruoshui again. Just like Xiao Wu said, Xiao Wu didn't do anything wrong. Feng Juntian gently patted Feng Wu's head. Big Brother is the best. Feng Wu girl was happy and threw herself into her big brother's arms as usual. To her, as long as her big brother didn't force her to apologize, he was still her good big brother. Qiu Ruobai and Qiu Ruoshui, as well as Ning Fei and Lu Zong, all had a lot of questions to ask Feng Juntian. Unfortunately, Feng Juntian had been accompanying Feng Wu ever since Feng Wu and Ming Shi came back together. He didn't come over to their side at all, so no matter how many questions they had, they couldn't get any answers. That night, Feng Wu was very happy. With her big brother and Ming Shi accompanying her, she released the river lantern and even made a wish on a small piece of paper, allowing the wish to flow down the river. After Ming Shi came back, he spoke a few words with the Empress and the princesses before staying with Feng Wu. Seeing that Feng Wu was in such a good mood, his perfect and exquisite face couldn't help but reveal a knowing smile. If he knew that the Feng Wu girl's wish hidden in the river lantern was to marry him, he didn't know if he would still be able to smile. After the Daughter's Day, Feng Wu's life returned to normal. A few days later, another big thing happened. That was, the Qiu family's madam brought her daughter to seek justice. The Qiu family only found out that their daughter had been beaten after the Daughter's Day. How could Madame Qiu, who had always doted on her daughter, tolerate her being beaten? Moreover, the one who beat her was not simple, my Feng Wu. It would be strange if she could tolerate it. On the 3rd day after the Daughter's Day, Madame Qiu brought her son and daughter to seek justice. Qiu Ruobai originally didn't want his mother to know about this matter. He knew that his mother was a very protective person. How could she tolerate her own child being beaten? He originally wanted to find another opportunity to go to the Feng family and have Feng Wu apologize. However, Ruo Bing accidentally revealed this matter to his mother. This time, the matter really became big. Even Qiu Ruobai couldn't do anything to his mother. Along with the Qiu family were Lu Zong, Ning Fei, and Jean Li. These were all witnesses. She didn't want others to say that she made up something out of nothing and deliberately wronged the Feng family's trash daughter. Lady Qiu and Lady Feng had never gotten along very well. Lady Qiu was very protective of her own people and had a very fiery temper. She didn't like Lady Lan, who was as gentle as water and would cry at the slightest provocation. Chapter 213. In fact, there was another important reason why the two of them did not get along. The specific reason was related to Feng Tianqing. Back then, when Master Feng was choosing a wife for Feng Tianqing, the daughter-in-law that Master Feng liked was the current head of the Qiu family, who was the mother of the Qiu family's 3 siblings. At that time, the Qiu family's old master also liked Madame Qiu. Both families' old masters liked this daughter-in-law very much. At that time, Madame Qiu's family naturally knew the intentions of the 2 families' old masters. They had already decided that when the 2 families came to propose marriage, they would agree to the Feng family. Lady Qiu was a strong woman and was also a bit arrogant. Since she was young, she did not like handsome men. She liked men with masculinity. At that time, Feng Tianqing's skin was a healthy bronze. Like his father, he did not smile all year round. His whole face was like a living iceberg. The son of the Qiu family was born with fair skin and was extraordinarily handsome. He gave people the feeling of a pretty boy. Men with this style probably loved many people. Unfortunately, Lady Qiu did not feel anything. Thus, when she knew that both families liked her as a daughter-in-law, she had already chosen to marry into the Feng family. But in the end, things did not develop as Lady Qiu thought. The husband she liked Lan Xiao Dai, who she had always looked down on. When Lan Xiao Dai was in the boudoir, she was a beauty made of water. She had countless pursuers. Her every move, every frown, and every smile was very attractive. She could always make people feel tender affection. Such a beautiful woman naturally did not get along with the fiery Lady Qiu. Lady Qiu had always looked down on Lan Xiao Dai. She always felt that she cried at the slightest thing and was very spineless. She was also very embarrassing as a woman. At that time, Lady Qiu did not expect that the cabbage that she liked would be taken away by the daughter she had always looked down on. The Feng family proposed marriage to the Lan family, and the Qiu family still proposed marriage to them according to the original plan. Lady Qiu's parents thought that since they had already lost the Feng family, they could not lose the Qiu family as well. These 2 families were both super families with more than 1,000 years of history. To be able to have a marriage alliance with an ordinary big family like them was simply a dream. It would be strange if they did not agree. Thus, Madame Lan married into the Feng family, and Madame Qiu married into the Qiu family, each living their own lives. After marriage, Lady Qiu and the Qiu family's first son lived a very happy life. She discovered that this pretty boy she had always thought was actually very manly. In the end, she naturally fell in love with the current Qiu family head, and the 2 of them lived a sweet and happy life. After getting married, Lady Qiu always believed that she lived a better life than Lady Lan. Her husband didn't give her any concubine children, while the Feng family had a concubine's daughter who held the title of eldest daughter. Her children were all geniuses, the dazzling pearls of the ancient Eastern country. Her son was a publicly acknowledged genius, and her eldest daughter was one of the 3 great beauties of the ancient Eastern country. She had countless suitors. As for Lan Xiaodie's daughter, she was trash among trash. Moreover, her personality was not good at a young age. Her heart was also bad. She always ran amok outside and caused trouble. In the end, she even gave birth to a child out of wedlock. It could be said that she lost all of the Feng family's face. In front of Madame Lan, especially when it came to her husband and children, she had always felt superior. It wasn't until she heard that her precious daughter was beaten by that trash Feng Wu that she became angry and came to seek justice for her daughter. She didn't care why Feng Wu beat her. She just wanted to let the Feng family know that their Qiu family's daughter wasn't beaten by that trash. Madame Chiu aggressively brought her 3 children and 3 witnesses into the Feng family. As soon as she entered the door, she demanded that Feng Wu be handed over. Her whole person seemed very imposing. Chiu Ruobai looked on from the side and frowned. "Mother, were you sure you could handle this? Grandfather and Grandfather Feng were old friends for many years. You came to the Feng family today to make a scene. Are you sure Grandfather won't be angry when he finds out?" Chiu Ruoshui didn't think so much. As long as she thought of Feng Wu kneeling in front of her and apologizing to her, she was very happy. Chiu Ruobing looked on coldly. Her whole person, like her name, gave people a cold feeling. Lu Zong and Ning Fei simply wanted to shrink themselves to the point that they didn't exist and come to the vice-captain's house to make a scene. "I say, Auntie, can we use a more civilized way to solve this matter? Can we not drag these small people into the water? They are timid. Please don't make a scene, okay?" Jean Li, who had always disliked trouble, wanted to immediately get out of here. Unfortunately, this matter was simply impossible. "Madame Chiu, I wonder why you suddenly came to visit?" As the head of the family, Feng Tianqing, when he received the news of Madame Chiu's visit, he brought his son Feng Juntian to the hall to welcome her. But he didn't expect this Madame Chiu to be so imposing. It was obvious that she didn't come with good intentions. Feng Juntian used his eyes to ask Chiu Ruobai. Chiu Ruobai looked at her sister and returned a helpless look. Translated, it meant, "My mother found out about my sister being beaten and is causing trouble. I also didn't want to make a big fuss. Unfortunately, my mother didn't listen." Feng Juntian immediately understood the meaning of his good friend's expression. He knew that today's matter didn't seem to be caused by Chiu Ruobai. Chiu Ruobai had never liked to rely on her family and would solve everything by herself. Today's matter was clearly not caused by Chiu Ruobai. Important matter. Of course it's important. Your daughter Feng Wu slapped my daughter Ruo Shui twice. How do you think this matter should be settled? Madame Chiu said aggressively. Looking at her expression, it was clear that she didn't want to be kind. Feng Wu slapped Chiu Ruo Shui? Was he hallucinating? Feng Tianqing's first thought was that this couldn't be true. As her father, he knew how weak Feng Wu's strength was. With Feng Wu's strength, if she wanted to slap Chiu Ruo Shui, let alone actually slapping her, she wouldn't even be able to get close to her. "You didn't stay at home early in the morning. Are you sure you didn't bring so many people to my house to make me happy?" If she really had that kind of strength, as her father, he should be gratified that his child had finally grown up. "Are you sure it was Feng Wu who slapped her and not someone pretending to be Feng Wu to cause trouble for your daughter?" Feng Tianqing muttered to himself for a moment before speaking. These words meant that he didn't believe it. To be honest, when Madame Chiu first heard this news, she also felt like she was listening to a heavenly book. What kind of strength did Chiu Ruo Shui have and what kind of strength did Feng Wu have? The two of them were on completely different levels. Saying that Feng Wu slapped Chiu Ruo Shui? It was more believable that Chiu Ruo Shui slapped Feng Wu. If Chiu Ruobing hadn't repeatedly guaranteed the authenticity of the matter and found Jean Li and the other two as witnesses, Madame Chiu wouldn't have come to the Feng family to make trouble. Chapter 214. As her father, you still don't know, right? I don't know where your daughter went to learn these evil skills. She's getting more and more powerful now. She even dares to hit my daughter. I know you won't believe me. If you want to prove what I said, it's very simple. You can ask your eldest daughter to come out and confront her. Your daughter wouldn't lie to you, right? Madame Chiu snorted coldly. She even asked Feng Ting to come out and confront her. This time, Feng Tianqing believed her a little. However, was Feng Wu really that powerful? She could actually beat Chiu Ruoshui. Although Chiu Ruoshui's strength was no different from a child's play in his eyes, his Feng Wu wasn't even at the level of playing house before. Feng Tianqing was shocked and doubtful, but he still asked the servants to call Feng Ting over. Feng Ting was a little confused when she heard that her father was looking for her. When she walked into the hall, she saw that Madame Chiu's family had arrived. However, the atmosphere didn't seem too good. Could it be that Ruo Shui told Madame Chiu that Feng Wu hit her? However, with Chiu Ruoshui's personality, wanting her to personally tell others that she had been slapped twice by a trash was undoubtedly an impossible matter. Feng Ting guessed correctly. Chiu Ruoshui indeed didn't think of telling Madame Chiu. Telling Madame Chiu was all Chiu Ruobing's idea. After Chiu Ruoshui found out, she felt a little embarrassed. However, when she saw her furious mother, she felt that it wasn't bad to use this opportunity to make Feng Wu suffer a little. "Father, I'm here." Although Feng Ting already had some guesses in her heart, she didn't show it on her face. She calmly bowed to Feng Tianxing. He responded faintly. Then, he used his eyes to signal Madame Chiu's direction. "Your Aunt Chiu said that Xiao Wu hit Ruoshui. Is this true?" "It's true. It happened a few days ago in the virtual realm." Feng Ting had already thought about it. She would tell the truth when she should. She couldn't say anything else. She was the daughter of the Feng family. It was fine if she secretly said something about Feng Wu in front of Chiu Ruoshui, but she couldn't side with the Chiu family on the surface. "Tell me what happened then," Feng Tianxing said. The situation at that time was like this. In the next 10 minutes, Feng Ting roughly explained what had happened in the virtual realm. Of course, she didn't mention the nasty words that Chiu Ruoshui had scolded her. She only mentioned the main point. Because she had met Feng Wu, the two of them had a quarrel. Later, Chiu Ruoshui had been slapped twice by Feng Wu. She didn't mention how harsh Chiu Ruoshui's scolding was back then. She just glossed over this part. Unfortunately, Feng Ting did not notice that the brother she had always wanted to please was looking at her with a thoughtful gaze. "What do you think? I didn't say anything wrong, did I? It was your Feng Wu who started this." "I won't make things difficult for you. Go and ask Feng Wu to come out. Kneel down and apologize to my daughter. Then, this matter will be over. Kneel down and apologize." Hearing this request, everyone's expression changed. Chiu Ruoshui was gloating, Chiu Ruobing was secretly sneering, and Chiu Ruobai and Jean Li felt that this request was a bit excessive. Kneel down and apologize. No matter how useless Feng Wu was, she was still the daughter of the Feng family. If she was asked to kneel down, wouldn't that be slapping the Feng family's face? Feng Ting looked on coldly. Madame Feng was also stupid. She could have asked Chiu Ruoshui to slap back those 2 slaps. Or, she could have asked Feng Wu to apologize directly and have the Feng family give some compensation. Although the people of the Feng family wouldn't be too happy if she did this, they would at least agree. "You asked for Feng Wu to kneel down. Do you think anyone would agree?" The Feng family was a super family that didn't lose to the Chiu family. Asking a daughter of the first wife of an aristocratic family to kneel down and apologize to your daughter in the Feng family's territory, as long as one had a bit of dignity and courage, they wouldn't agree. Although Feng Wu slapped Chiu Ruoshui, this was after all a dispute between the younger generation. It was already unsightly for you, the mistress of the family, to intervene in the struggle between the younger generation. Now, you even dared to make such an excessive request. Do you want the 2 families to fall out? Feng Ting almost suspected that this Madame Chiu didn't bring her brain when she went out. With this IQ, how did she give birth to Chiu Ruobing and Chiu Ruobai? Fortunately, among the 3 siblings, only Chiu Ruoshui was like her. If Chiu Ruobai was like her, then the Chiu family would not be far from being finished. Thinking of Chiu Ruobai, Feng Ting's heart was sweet. She had liked Chiu Ruobai since she was a child. In order to make Chiu Ruobai like her, she worked hard to learn all kinds of knowledge and practice swordsmanship. She even put down her face to please Chiu Ruoshui, this brainless daughter of the first wife. Even when she accidentally found out that Feng Wu also liked Chiu Ruobai, she intentionally or unintentionally reminded Chiu Ruoshui of Feng Wu's thoughts. This made the relationship between Feng Wu and Chiu Ruoshui worse and worse. Although Feng Wu had a bad temper and was impulsive, her strength was not good. And although Chiu Ruoshui's strength was not high, she absolutely beat Feng Wu. So every time the two met, the one who was at a disadvantage was always Feng Wu. But fortunately, she was only verbally humiliated every time. Qiu Ruoshui still had a sense of propriety and wouldn't hit her. In addition, Qiu Ruoshui also asked many daughters of the first wives of the aristocratic families to isolate Feng Wu, making her unable to make any friends among the daughters of the first wives of the super-aristocratic families. The reason why she did so much was that she hoped to cut off Feng Wu's hope of marrying Qiu Ruobai. But Feng Wu still didn't give up and insisted on fighting with her. So she pretended to inadvertently lead Qiu Ruoshui to think of a vicious plan. Qiu Ruoshui really contacted the brainless Yi Lin and then had Yi Lin encourage Feng Wu to write a love letter to confess to Qiu Ruobai. Feng Wu really didn't have a brain. After listening to Yi Lin's words, she wrote a love letter to confess. That love letter naturally fell into Qiu Ruoshui's hands. After receiving the love letter, Qiu Ruoshui gave it to all the young ladies of the aristocratic families to read. Even the young masters of the aristocratic families read it. Feng Wu really suffered a big blow and finally came back with a bastard child. It was simply too satisfying. Didn't she do so much just to marry into the Qiu family? But Madame Qiu and Qiu Ruobing didn't give her the slightest chance, especially Madame Qiu. Every time she saw her, she had a disdainful expression. Qiu Ruobing even ignored her. That feeling was as if she was just a pet playing with Qiu Ruoshui. It was just a pet. If it couldn't make its master happy, it was fine to kill it or drive it away. It wasn't worth taking it to heart at all. She hated these two people in her heart. After failing to please them, she was too lazy to do more thankless things. Instead of pleasing them, she would rather spend more time to win Qiu Ruobai's heart. This time, Madame Qiu came to make trouble. If she could make Madame Qiu and Feng Wu suffer at the same time, she would be even happier. Kneel down and apologize. Madame Qiu really has a big tone. Although Feng Tianqing usually had a serious appearance, his current expression was even more terrifying. His eyes were as cold as ice as he looked directly at Madame Qiu. Chapter 215. Your daughter did something wrong, so isn't it natural for her to kneel down and apologize? Lady Qiu had always regarded her own child as the best in the world. Other people's children were just strangers in her eyes. Feng Wu, on the other hand, was trash in her eyes. She was just trash. So what if she had to kneel down? Is your daughter worthy of it? Let her receive my family's Xiao Wu's kneel. Aren't you afraid of suffering a loss of fortune in the future? Feng Tianqing flung his sleeves and placed his hands behind his back as he coldly said, "You dare curse my daughter?" Madame Qiu was someone who could not tolerate sand in her eyes. How could she be willing to listen to others talk about her own child? Humph. Feng Tianqing lightly snorted and turned his head away, not wanting to pay attention to the shrew in front of him. He once again rejoiced in his heart. Fortunately, he did not ask his father to propose marriage to her family. Such a valiant daughter-in-law should be left for the Qiu family to enjoy. Mother, we are not here to start a feud, so you should speak less. Qiu Ruobai really could not bear to continue watching. If this continued, the possibility of a fight would exceed 50%. Humph. Madame Qiu coldly snorted and turned her head away, giving her son some face. Juntian, go and call Feng Wu out. She is the person involved, so no matter what, she needs to be present to discuss a result. Qiu Ruobai really did not know what to say. They had not even seen the person in question, yet they were already quarreling with the Feng family's patriarch. Her father had really worked hard. Feng Juntian turned his head to look at his father, asking for Feng Tianqing's opinion. Feng Tianqing faintly nodded his head, agreeing to bring Feng Wu here. After Feng Juntian nodded his head, he went out to find Feng Wu. The hall was silent, and no one spoke. The atmosphere was so cold that it made people shiver. 10 minutes later, Feng Juntian led Feng Wu in, along with the Feng family's mistress, Madame Lan. Madame Lan had been teaching her daughter embroidery. Embroidery was a skill that only their ancient eastern country had. All the girls in the boudoir had to learn this skill. Girls who were good at embroidery were always praised by others. In the past, Feng Wu had not been interested in such things, always thinking of ways to learn swordsmanship to shake off her reputation as a good-for-nothing. After much difficulty, her daughter had finally grown up and was willing to listen to her. She had originally wanted to teach her daughter culinary skills so that when she got married in the future, she could occasionally cook a few of her signature dishes for her husband to eat. That would also be a form of entertainment, but she had not expected that Feng Wu was a culinary killer. Of course, this plan of hers had died before it was even born. Now, she planned to teach Feng Wu embroidery. She didn't expect that although Feng Wu's cooking skills were not bad, her embroidery talent was not bad. Soon, she could embroider well. What Madame Lan did not know was that Feng Wu had grown up on Mount Yuehua since she was young. Other than being a culinary killer, she could not cook. For example, washing clothes, chopping firewood, mending clothes, and making clothes. She had to do all these. Because she had done so much, her skills naturally improved. Not to mention embroidery, even if she asked Feng Wu to make clothes for her now, it would not be a problem. Just as the mother and daughter were teaching and learning seriously, Feng Juntian came. Feng Juntian came to look for Feng Wu. He even said that it was Feng Tianqing's request to bring Feng Wu to the main hall. When Madame Lan heard this, she was shocked. Could it be that her father wanted to chase Feng Wu away again? After experiencing her daughter being chased away by her father-in-law once, Madame Lan, who was not particularly brave to begin with, was already scared out of her wits. Madame Lan was quite frightened by the scene she imagined. She made up her mind that if her father-in-law did not change his mind this time, she would leave with her daughter. She would not let her be alone again. Her daughter was too pitiful. No matter how Feng Juntian tried to explain himself, Lady Lan refused to believe Feng Juntian's words. She firmly believed that Feng Wuliu was trying to drive Feng Wu away again and that Feng Tianqing might not be able to help either. At this time, no matter what, as a mother, she had to go with Feng Wu. She definitely could not let her father-in-law drive her daughter away. Feng Juntian. He already did not know what to say. This was the bad thing about having a mother with a strong imagination. She could always make you speechless. Even if you said something, she could ignore it. Why are you here? Feng Tianqing saw that his wife had also come and was stunned for a moment. Then, he swept a questioning gaze towards his son. Feng Juntian, don't ask me. I don't know anything. Unable to get a reply from his son, he could only wait for his wife to explain. What happened? When did Madame Chiu come? Why didn't you ask me to come over? Madame Lan glanced at her husband resentfully. Seeing that Madame Chiu was also here, she finally believed her son's words. As expected, it was not her father-in-law who wanted to chase Xiao Wu away. As long as her father-in-law did not want to chase her away, everything else was fine. Chiu smiled bitterly in his heart. Letting the two of them meet would only make things worse. Who did not know that Madame Chiu had always disliked his wife? Every time the two of them met, the smell of gunpowder would be thick. Although it was always Madame Chiu who gave off the smell of gunpowder, it was still unbearable. Madame Chiu also just arrived. I also forgot for a moment. He lied without changing his expression. Madame Lan nodded. I see. Why don't you invite Madame Chiu to sit? Servants, quickly make some good tea. Everyone, quickly sit. We're all on the same side. Don't stand on ceremony. Madame Lan smiled gently, a stark contrast to Madame Chiu's fiery temper. Who's on the same side as you? Your daughter hit our Ruoshui. Make her kneel and apologize immediately. Otherwise, don't blame me for not giving you and your wife any face. When Madame Chiu saw Madame Lan, her anger rose by 100%. Madame Lan's eyes widened in shock. She covered her small mouth and exclaimed, Xiao Wu, you really hit Ruoshui? Feng Wu's stoic face was still expressionless. She only nodded slightly. Heavens, Xiao Wu, you're already so amazing now. Our Xiao Wu has finally succeeded. No one can say that you're a good-for-nothing anymore. Mama is so happy for our Xiao Wu." As she spoke, she pulled out a hand scroll and began her daily routine of wiping away her tears. "Did you not grasp the main point?" Everyone was silent. "And what did you mean by that sentence?" She was not a good-for-nothing just because she hit Qiu Ruoxue? But it was true. Although Qiu Ruoxue was not the strongest among girls, she was not weak either. Fengwu being able to hit Qiu Ruoxue at least proved that her strength was not weak. Even if she could not compare to Qiu Ruoxue, she was not too far behind. With this kind of strength, she really could not be called a good-for-nothing anymore. "Stop crying. Hurry and make your daughter kneel and apologize. Don't pretend to be crazy here." Madame Qiu was about to go crazy. This woman was like this, always able to anger people to death. Why should she apologize? Madame Lan stopped wiping away her tears in confusion. Her eyes were still red, but the tears were no longer visible. She was able to hide her tears with such little effort. No one could compare to Madame Lan in her ability to hide her tears so easily. Chapter 216. Why should I apologize? How dare you ask me that? Looks like you're not going to settle this peacefully. This is just a conflict between children. As elders, we shouldn't interfere. Moreover, Heavenly Wind Continent is a world where the strong are respected. If Shuiqing's skills aren't as good as others and she's beaten, then she can beat Xiao Wu back. If she can beat Xiao Wu, then she can beat Xiao Wu back no matter how Xiao Wu beat her. Tianqing and I won't take revenge after this, and we won't bring our children to your Qiu family's door. No one thought that Madame Lan, who had always been gentle, would say such words. Her words were very rude, but they were very reasonable. Thinking about it carefully, it was true. Although Feng Tianqing was ashamed of Madame Qiu's action of standing up for the child, he couldn't say anything because of the relationship between the two families. Of course, if Madame Qiu went too far, Feng Tianqing wouldn't let her off. Now that Madame Lan had made things clear, Feng Tianqing was relieved. As a man, he really couldn't argue with a woman. You. Madame Qiu was so angry that she pointed at Madame Lan. Her face was pale and she couldn't even speak clearly. What did she mean by if she could beat Fengwu, then she could beat her back? What did she mean by she and Feng Tianqing wouldn't bring their children to her house? Was this sarcasm? Or was it sarcasm? She had really underestimated this woman. She thought she was just a stupid woman who was sad every day. She didn't expect her to have such a sharp tongue. You want Ruoxue to beat you back, right? Fine, I'll let you reap what you sow. Ruoxue, Madame Lan has already said that you can hit her back yourself. What are you still standing there for? Go over there and hit her hard. Madame Lan said it herself. This is a conflict between two children. We adults can't interfere, okay? Madame Qiu sneered and used her eyes to signal Qiu Ruoxue not to show any mercy. It would be great if she could beat her back herself. She had promised her brother that as long as Fengwu apologized, he wouldn't pursue the matter. Now, she could beat her back herself. Moreover, she didn't have to worry about being scolded by her brother. This couldn't be any better. Qiu Ruoxue walked out from behind her mother obediently and stared at Fengwu fiercely. Let's go outside and fight. Don't fight in the hall. No matter who wins or loses, this matter is over. I don't want anyone to continue pestering me. Feng Tianqing was also a decisive person. If they wanted to fight, then so be it. At most, if the Qiu family's girl was too heavy-handed, he would step out to stop her. Madame Qiu also knew that the hall was not a good place to make a move, so she nodded in agreement. Madame Lan was a little worried about her daughter, but this was the Feng family. No matter what, her daughter couldn't possibly be at a disadvantage in her own home. She and the child's father were watching over her. When the time came, they would see the situation and then step in to save Xiao Wu. Everyone walked to the training grounds at the back. There was not a single person in sight. This training ground was specially used by Feng Juntian. Normally, other than Feng Juntian, no one else could enter this place. Alright, this battle will determine the winner. You two should prepare yourselves. Feng Tianqing stood in the middle while Feng Wu and Qiu Ruoshui each stood on one side. The others stood further away, leaving the center of the training ground for the two girls to make it easier for them to fight. Captain, this time Ruoshui will definitely be able to teach that Feng Wu a lesson. Ning Fei said excitedly. I think so too. That Feng Wu was able to slap Ruoshui twice because we all thought of her as a piece of trash with no attack power. We didn't even think of guarding against her, and that's why she took advantage of us. If they really fought, how could she be Ruoshui's opponent? Lu Zong was very confident that Ruoshui would be able to defeat Feng Wu. As usual, Jin Li didn't say a word, as if everything around him had nothing to do with him. Madame Qiu had a confident smile on her face. Qiu Ruobing and Qiu Ruobai stood on her left and right. The three of them didn't think that their daughter and little sister would lose to Feng Wu. Feng Juntian and Madame Lan looked at the center of the training ground nervously. In their hearts, they planned to rush up and save their daughter if anything happened. Feng Ting laughed wildly in her heart. She knew Qiu Ruoshui too well. Even if she didn't kill her, she would most likely be heavy-handed. At that time, even if Feng Wu wasn't crippled, she would still be bedridden for a long time. Thinking of Feng Wu's future, Feng Ting laughed wildly in her heart. However, she still put on an expression of worry for her little sister. No need to prepare, we can start now. Qiu Ruoshui looked arrogantly at Feng Wu. She didn't think that she would lose. Today, she would take revenge for slapping her that day. Xiao Wu, what about you? Feng Tianqing frowned and asked Feng Wu. Feng Wu shook her head. There was no need. All right, then let the battle begin. Feng Tianqing shouted loudly. Then, he retreated to the side, leaving the entire battlefield to the two young girls. Feng Wu, don't worry. Seeing the relationship between our families, I won't kill you. However, I will definitely cripple the hand that slapped me. Qiu Ruoshui said with a cold smile. She was waiting for Feng Wu to tremble in fear. Unfortunately, Feng Wu still had that stoic face and didn't have any expression. Putting on an act. She snorted coldly. A small green ball of light suddenly appeared in her hand. Within the ball of light, there was an unknown plant. The plant was very small, but it looked quite extraordinary. This was Qiu Ruoshui's contracted magical plant. Although this magical plant's level wasn't high, it would grow with Qiu Ruoshui's strength. It would be extremely useful in battle. Go bind it. The green ball of light in Qiu Ruoshui's hand was full of spirituality. After hearing Qiu Ruoshui's command, it immediately flew towards Feng Wu. The small ball of light actually grew by about 3 meters when it approached Feng Wu. After growing up, the magical plant looked like an ordinary plant. However, it wasn't easy to deal with. It bared its fangs and claws as it used absolute strength to bind Feng Wu. Just when everyone thought that Feng Wu would definitely be bound, an unexpected scene occurred. They saw Feng Wu jump towards the sky and instantly leave the magical plant's attack range. Don't think about escaping. Qiu Ruoshui wasn't in a hurry. She continuously chanted. Under Qiu Ruoshui's control, the magical plant nimbly changed its direction and continued to attack Feng Wu. Feng Wu's body nimbly performed a fancy spin in the air and successfully dodged another attack. After dodging this time, she didn't dodge again. Instead, she took the initiative to face Qiu Ruoshui. Everyone on the continent knew that the easiest way to defeat a magician was through close combat. No matter how strong a magician was, close combat was their weakness. Chapter 217. When Qiu Ruoshui saw Feng Wu attacking, she didn't panic. Instead, she sneered, although I don't know what happened to you that made you have such a strong strength, you still can't defeat me with your current strength. I'm not an ordinary magician. You want to use close combat to win? Then come, I want to see how you defeat me. A sword actually appeared in Qiu Ruoshui's hand. Yes, it was a sword. She was actually a dual cultivator. It wasn't that there weren't any dual cultivators on the continent, but there weren't many of them. Because learning magic required a lot of time to complete. If one also learned Do Qi, then the time to practice was definitely not enough. If one practiced both at the same time, the result would be that one knew both, but was not proficient in either. However, there were a small number of people who were geniuses among geniuses. Whether it was magic or Do Qi, they could practice both at the same time. Some could even become a sword god and a mage god at the same time. Among them, the most famous person was Longzi Gamma. Back then, he had achieved these two achievements at the same time and ascended to the god realm in pursuit of greater power. Because of Longzi Gamma's appearance, the dual cultivation of magic and Do Qi became popular. Thus, many magicians started the path of dual cultivation. In the end, the number of people who succeeded was less than 10. Qiu Ruoshui was actually a dual cultivator. The most surprised person was Feng Ting. She really didn't know that Qiu Ruoshui actually had such a trump card. It seemed that although she said that she was a good sister, in fact, she still had a card up her sleeve. Although she secretly hated Qiu Ruoshui for being on guard against her, her expression still didn't change. She stared at the center of the field, wanting to see if Feng Wu could escape Qiu Ruoshui's attack. Aside from the Qiu family, it was the first time for everyone present to see Qiu Ruoshui's full strength. Although Qiu Ruoshui wasn't the most talented magician in the Qiu family, nor was she the most talented swordsman, it was rare for her to have two talents at the same time. She could practice both at the same time and it wouldn't affect her practice speed. I didn't expect Ruoshui to be a dual cultivator. This time, Feng Wu is dead, Ning Fei said excitedly. However, that Feng Wu is really a lot stronger. Compared to the previous trash, it's really a world of difference. It's a pity that she will never be Ruoshui's opponent. That's true. The two of them were talking excitedly, as if they could already see Feng Wu's bruised nose and swollen eyes after she failed. Feng Wu ignored Qiu Ruoshui. Feng Wu attacked Qiu Ruoshui and Qiu Ruoshui's raised her sword. The two swords collided and their swords collided and the two swords collided. Qiu Ruoshui's swordsmanship wasn't bad, but she wasn't an expert. She could still use it to protect herself. With Qiu Ruoshui's swordsmanship, if she were to exchange blows with an ordinary swordmaster, her victory would be certain. However, the person she encountered was Feng Wu. No matter if it was in the previous life or this life, Feng Wu was a genius in the way of the sword. Her talent was much higher than Qiu Ruoshui's, and her strength was also much higher. After Qiu Ruoshui blocked the sword, she raised her sword and continued to attack. Her moves were like moving clouds and flowing water as she attacked Feng Wu. Every one of her attacks was aimed at Feng Wu's right hand. If she was hit by that sword, she would become a one-armed person. Feng Wu easily stepped on the wind willow leaf steps and scattered without much effort. Qiu Ruoshui's expression changed. She thought that Feng Wu had just started practicing. Last time, she was only able to hit her because she didn't put Feng Wu in her eyes and was careless. But now, it seemed that Feng Wu's strength had greatly exceeded her expectations. She felt that she couldn't handle it. Qiu Ruoshui panicked and quickly retreated a few steps to distance herself from Feng Wu. As long as she retreated to a certain distance, she could use magic attacks to win. Would Feng Wu let her succeed? Of course not. Feng Wu used a sword technique and layers of sword shadows came at her. By the time Qiu Ruoshui instinctively pulled back her sword to block, it was already too late. With a crash, her sleeve was cut by Feng Wu's sword and a long bloody mark was left on her arm. Ah! Qiu Ruoshui screamed. Her uninjured hand covered her wound and retreated a few steps. Because her arm was injured, blood flowed through her clothes and onto the ground, forming a pool of blood on her face. Ruoshui! The Qiu family members cried out in worry. After Lu Zong, Ning Fei, and the others recovered from their shock, they immediately became concerned about Qiu Ruoshui's injury. On the Feng family side, other than Feng Wu, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. They were all prepared to save the situation. They didn't expect Feng Wu to be so capable and actually win against Qiu Ruoshui. They had really underestimated this girl in the past. How could she have been accepted into the Notre Dame du Starlight? As expected, those who could enter the Notre Dame du Starlight were all geniuses, Feng Tianqing thought proudly. Madame Lan, let's see who can still say that our Xiao Wu is trash. Feng Juntian, Xiao Wu is too amazing. Looks like our Xiao Wu has won this competition. Feng Tianqing's ice-cold face was still expressionless, but from his voice, one could tell that he was in a very good mood. It's not over yet. I can still fight. Qiu Ruoshui wouldn't accept such a defeat. She wouldn't lose, especially to such a trash. The wound on your arm is a bit deep. You should quickly stop the bleeding and bandage it. Feng Tianqing frowned slightly as he looked at Qiu Ruoshui. I'm fine. The competition can continue. Qiu Ruoshui said stubbornly. Ruoshui, don't force yourself. Qiu Ruobai looked at her bleeding hand and said worriedly. It's fine. I want to continue. It doesn't matter who I lose to, I just can't accept losing to her. As she said this, she pointed her sword at Feng Wu, expressing her determination to never admit defeat. All right, there's no need to persuade your sister. If you don't let her finish this competition, who knows what will happen when she gets home. Madame Qiu shook her head and stopped her son from continuing. Her daughter still had many good things that she had given her. When the time came, she wouldn't suffer any losses if she used those things. Thinking of this, Madame Qiu didn't say anything more about Qiu Ruoshui's insistence on continuing the competition. Qiu Ruobai nodded helplessly and didn't say anything else. The competition continued. Don't think that you can beat me like this. I'll let you know the difference between you and me. After speaking, Qiu Ruoshui suddenly took out a red pill. She found a red pill. She popped it into her mouth and swallowed it. The pill melted in her mouth and flowed down her throat. Then, Qiu Ruoshui's strength rose from a level 8 beginner magician to level 9, then level 10, then level 11 magician and intermediate swordmaster. She didn't stop there. She continued to rise from level 11 until she reached level 25 advanced magician and advanced swordmaster. Chapter 218. Without a doubt, this girl had taken a medicine to forcefully increase her strength. This kind of medicine usually had a time limit and would cause quite a bit of damage to the body. This kind of medicine would only be used in a fight to the death. Who would have thought that Qiu Ruoshui would use this kind of medicine in such a small fight? Seeing Qiu Ruoshui use medicine to forcefully increase her strength, the Qiu family members' expressions changed. They would only use some high-level magic tools for her, but she actually dared to use medicine. Didn't she know that once she used this kind of medicine, she would need at least a year of rest to recover? Qiu Ruobai was filled with regret. If she had known earlier, she would have stopped her from continuing the fight. Now that she had taken the medicine, the following fight would be reversed. No one believed that Feng Wu, who had just started cultivating, would have the strength to fight with Qiu Ruoshui, who was a high-level dual cultivator of magic and martial arts. The spectators had already labeled Feng Wu as a sure loser. But would it really be like what they thought? They were afraid that they would be disappointed. Feng Wu was not afraid of Qiu Ruoshui's change at all. Qiu Ruoshui's strength had indeed increased very quickly. Compared to her previous strength, she was more than one level stronger. I went from a beginner magician and a beginner swordsman to a high-level magician and a high-level swordsman. If Feng Wu was really just a beginner swordsman, she would not be able to resist such strength. Would Feng Wu's strength be that of a beginner swordsman? Of course not. At the same time that Qiu Ruoshui's strength increased, the wound on her hand had already healed quickly. Her eyes were filled with killing intent as she looked at Feng Wu. Feng Wu, take this. With a loud shout, she used a sword technique that only a high-level swordsman could use. The sword technique was like fine silk and did not leave any gaps. It directly attacked Feng Wu's Phoenix Gate. If she was really hit by this sword, she would definitely be disfigured even if she did not die. Qiu Ruoshui is so vicious at such a young age. Tian, you can't marry such a wife in the future. Madame Lan looked at Qiu Ruoshui's attack and said with dissatisfaction. Feng Jun Tian, was he being shot while lying down? Clang! The two swords collided once again. Feng Wu was actually able to block Qiu Ruoshui's attack under such a meticulous sword technique. Water Arrow Spell. At the level of an adept magician, simple spells could be instantly cast. Under the effects of the medicine, Qiu Ruoshui's water arrow technique had already reached the level of a high-level sorcerer. If one were to be hit by this water arrow technique, one's skin would immediately split open. Amidst Madame Lan's exclamation, Feng Wu somersaulted like a swallow and dodged nimbly. But after she dodged, Qiu Ruoshui's various water magic attacks continued to surge towards her. Feng Wu kept dodging with her lightness skill. If she couldn't dodge, she would block with her sword. After fighting for several minutes, she didn't let Qiu Ruoshui gain the upper hand. Qiu Ruoshui couldn't even hurt a finger of Feng Wu's, which made her feel very unsatisfied and her emotions became more and more chaotic. Magic didn't cause much damage to Feng Wu, so Qiu Ruoshui decisively used her sword techniques to fight Feng Wu in close combat. The sword techniques she used became more and more advanced. It was obvious that this was a sword technique that only a high-level swordsman or above could use. The moment Qiu Ruoshui used this set of sword techniques, one could feel an endless amount of sword aura. This was the sword aura of a high-level swordsman. If the difference in strength was too great, just the sword aura alone would be enough to make the opponent collapse. However, nothing happened to Feng Wu. She held her sword and used a set of sword techniques of the same high level to meet Qiu Ruoshui's attack. As a transmigrator, the world that Feng Wu lived in before transmigrating was an extremely developed world of sword civilization. Her master was also a top master in the world. Under her master's education, Feng Wu learned countless peerless sword techniques. The number of sword techniques in her head was not something that Qiu Ruoshui could imagine. She used the same level of sword techniques to meet the attack and blocked all of Qiu Ruoshui's attacks. Although Qiu Ruoshui already had the strength of a high-level swordsman and magician, she couldn't gain any advantage from Feng Wu. The two sides were locked in battle and the sound of the two swords colliding echoed in the martial arts field. No matter how much Qiu Ruoshui attacked, she couldn't defeat Feng Wu. Qiu Ruoshui's eyes darkened. The anger and hatred in her heart had already drowned out her reason. As the two fought, she took out a small black ball from her storage space. The appearance of the small ball gave everyone a hair-raising sense of danger. Lei Zhenzi, why do you have this? Qiu Ruobai cried out in alarm. The indifferent expression that always hung on her face immediately disappeared and her face became as pale as paper. When Lady Qiu saw Qiu Ruoshui take out this thing, she was also shocked. She only wanted Lady Lan to see her daughter being humiliated. She didn't want Feng Wu's life. No matter how useless Feng Wu was, she was still the legitimate daughter of the Feng family. If she died in the hands of Qiu Ruoshui, with her father's character, even if he didn't kill Qiu Ruoshui, he would definitely abolish her cultivation and make her a useless person. When the Lei Zhenzi came out, even Qiu Ruobing, who had been watching coldly from the side, was so scared that she broke out in a cold sweat. She secretly scolded her sister for being a fool. Even if she killed Feng Wu, she wouldn't have an easy time. Even if she didn't die, she would be crippled. How could she do such a thing that hurt others and hurt herself? She didn't have a chance to deal with Feng Wu this time, but there would be a next time. She couldn't even think of this. How could her sister be so stupid? As an elder sister, she had done so many things to help her achieve her wish. Now she wanted to court her own death. Jean Li and the other two's faces also changed. The Lei Zhenzi was not an ordinary thing. One was enough to blow up a house. Using the Lei Zhenzi, she wanted Feng Wu to die without a whole body. No matter how much Ning Fei and Lu Zong hated Feng Wu, they always remembered that she was a member of the Feng family. Even if they disdained her and scolded her viciously, they would not really kill her. They all understood that once Feng Wu died in their hands, it would no longer be a quarrel between the younger generation. It would become a war between the two families. Even if they had a few guts, they wouldn't dare to casually make a strong enemy like the Feng family for their own families. Didn't Qiu Ruoxue understand these things? No, she always knew it, so she didn't think about killing Feng Wu. At most, she wanted to cut off one of Feng Wu's hands to vent her anger. But after she was injured by Feng Wu and couldn't hurt Feng Wu after taking medicine, her heart changed. She wanted to kill Feng Wu. If she didn't kill Feng Wu today, she, Qiu Ruoxue, would become a complete joke. Chapter 219. In her heart, there was some jealousy that even she did not notice. She was jealous that Feng Wu could have such strong strength without taking any medicine. It was just that her pride since she was young made her unwilling to admit that she was jealous. Qiu Ruoxue, how dare you? Feng Tianqing was furious. A mere junior of the Qiu family actually dared to use the Thunder Pulse to kill his daughter in the Feng family. She really didn't want to live anymore. Perhaps to others, Qiu Ruoxue's action was already fast enough. Once the Thunder Pulse got close to Feng Wu, it would immediately explode. At that time, Feng Wu would be blown into pieces. Unfortunately, there was still one person standing in this martial arts field. It was the Feng family's family head, Feng Tianqing. It was easy for him to become the person with the highest power in a super force. With Feng Tianqing's shout, a figure flashed. Feng Tianqing, who was still some distance away from Feng Wu, had already appeared in front of Feng Wu. Feng Tianqing grabbed Feng Wu's small hand with one hand. Just like that, Feng Wu was held in Feng Tianqing's arms. Bang! With a loud bang, the thunder pulse directly exploded in front of Feng Tianqing. Thick smoke filled the entire martial arts field with this explosion. A wave of shaking alarmed everyone in the Feng family. What's going on? Could it be that someone dares to attack our Feng family? What happened? Could it be that a sage-level master came to challenge our Feng family? God! Is it an earthquake? The servants and guards of the Feng family ran out of the house one by one and pointed at the black smoke emitting from the square and shouted, "Shut up, all of you! Do what you are supposed to do!" Housekeeper Luo shouted loudly. Those servants and guards all dispersed. None of them dared to speak carelessly. This loud noise not only alarmed the servants of the Feng family, it also alarmed the old master, Feng Wu Lu, who was originally sitting alone in the tea room drinking tea. Feng Wuliu teleported to the training field that Feng Wu and Feng Wu used to fight. At this time, a large pit had been blasted out of the training field, and many cracks had appeared on the ground. Feng Tianqing protected Feng Wu and successfully avoided this fatal crisis. It was all thanks to Feng Tianqing's strength and the level 9 defensive brooch on him that the magic array on the brooch would automatically activate when the owner was in danger. This helped Feng Tianqing protect Feng Wu. In fact, when Feng Wu sensed danger just now, she instinctively wanted to dodge. With her strength, even if she couldn't dodge all of them, she wouldn't be seriously injured. However, before Feng Wu could make a move, she was saved by her cheap father. What's going on? Old Master Feng teleported over expressionlessly. The pressure of the sage level made everyone's faces pale. There was a feeling of submission from the depths of their souls. Fortunately, Feng Wuliu had no interest in attacking them. This sage-level pressure only appeared for a moment before it was withdrawn. "Father, you have to make a decision for Xiao Wu. This girl is young, but her mind is poisonous. She invited Xiao Wu to fight and lost to Xiao Wu because her skills were inferior. Later, in order to win, she took a medicine that forcefully increased her strength. We didn't say anything. We always thought that she would know her limits. Who knew that this girl didn't just want to win against Xiao Wu, she actually wanted to kill Xiao Wu. She dared to use the Thunder Pulse seed on Xiao Wu in our Feng family. I really can't imagine what kind of methods she'll use to deal with my daughter once she's out there." Madame Lan's pale face was crying so pitifully that it looked like she was crying. Coincidentally, Qiu Ruoshui's medicine was about to end. She also suffered a bit of the aftershock of the Thunder Pulse seed. Her face was pale as she spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted on the ground. Ruo Shui. Qiu Ruoshui and Qiu Ruobing immediately flew to Qiu Ruoshui's side and checked her body worriedly. Humph. Such a young girl with bad intentions. Such a vicious girl should be taught well. I will personally pay a visit to your grandfather. He must give our Feng family an explanation for this matter. Feng Wuliu looked deeply at the Qiu family and didn't intend to make things difficult for them. Anyway, if he didn't make the Qiu family spit out a piece of meat, others would think that the Feng family was easy to bully. In the future, if everyone came to their house like this little girl and brought along the Thunder Pulse seed, what would happen to their Feng family? The Qiu family quickly retreated with the injured Qiu Ruoshui in a sorry state. Even Jin Li and the other two witnesses followed behind Qiu Ruobai dejectedly and left the Feng family as fast as they could. Tell me, how did it become like this? Why did Qiu Ruoshui want to fight with Xiao Wu for no reason? Such a grandfather. Feng Juntian recounted everything that had happened in the Mirage, the Daughter's Day incident, and how Madame Qiu had brought her children to his doorstep today in full detail. Feng Juntian recounted the events in detail. During this process, he didn't add fuel to the fire and didn't deliberately side with his family. Instead, he narrated this matter from a more neutral point of view. Xiao Dai did the right thing this time. The strong are respected in Heavenly Wind Continent. If you can't beat others, you can only be beaten. That girl suffered a loss and didn't work hard to improve her strength. Instead, she wanted to rely on her family to take revenge. With such thoughts, that girl from the Feng family is just a good-for-nothing little girl. Old Master Feng snorted disdainfully. His gaze towards Feng Wu was much more benevolent. This girl had one face for their Feng family this time. Father, we can't let that girl go like this. She wanted to kill my daughter. We can't just let it go like this. Madame Lan's heart was filled with hatred when she thought of Qiu Ruoshui. Her two children were her life. Qiu Ruoshui actually wanted to kill her children. It was simply unforgivable. Thinking of how Feng Wu almost died, Madame Lan began to cry again. At this time, Feng Tianqing just happened to walk over with Feng Wu. Madame Lan quickly went forward to check on Feng Wu's body. After confirming that there wasn't even a small wound, she was relieved. As for the other half, she still had to find a doctor to check if there was any internal injury before she could truly relax. Tianqing, you handle this matter. Let the Qiu family take care of that girl and that daughter-in-law of the Qiu family. They're already so old, but they still don't know anything. Fortunately, we didn't let her into the family back then. Old Master Feng frowned and muttered unhappily. He turned around and teleported away again. Feng Wu was fine, but the Qiu family was in big trouble. Qiu Ruobing originally only wanted her mother to teach Feng Wu a lesson, but the result was far beyond her expectations. Not only did Feng Wu not teach her a lesson, but her sister was also seriously injured. When she brought Qiu Ruoshui back to the Qiu family, it naturally caused a huge commotion. Qiu Ruoshui's serious injury naturally alarmed Old Master Qiu, Qiu Hanshan, and the current head of the Qiu family, Qiu Zifeng. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.